My name is Chen Huai'an, and I am afflicted with cancer, facing the imminent specter of death. Recently, I have become enamored with a game that allows me to nurture a virtual girlfriend. I have invested my funds to purchase skills and artifacts for her. Though my wallet is now barren, my heart brims with joy. I always considered it merely a game, until one day, my electronic girlfriend gifted me a pill. In the next moment, the pill materialized in my hand. It seems I might not have to die after all. Chen Huai'an switched off the television, a bitter smile gracing his lips. Yet, I possess nothing. The terminal illness notice was delivered the day before yesterday. My girlfriend vanished yesterday, and today, I feel my spirit crumbling. He is merely a freshman in university, the child of forest rangers who perished in a wildfire years ago, leaving behind nothing but a meager compensation. Over the years, Chen Huai'an has emerged from the shadow of his parents' demise, choosing to confront life with optimism. With the compensation, he has lived frugally and taken on odd jobs, ensuring that completing his university education would not be a distant dream. His academic performance has been commendable. He has even secured a place at a prestigious institution, with promises of job placements upon graduation. He had thought that even with a modest salary, he could sustain himself, only to discover 2 days ago that the persistent pain in his ankle was indicative of mid-stage cancer. Aware of his financial constraints for treatment, Chen Huai'an resolved to leave school and rented a modest apartment near the local wetland park for a year, intending to spend his remaining days there. As for what would happen when the rent was due and he had no funds, he chuckled softly, convinced he would not live to see that day. He opened his phone to check his bank balance, finding over 30,000 remaining, with monthly living expenses for food amounting to no more than 600. And considering various other necessities, he estimated his monthly expenses at around 1,000. Hence, he would still have at least 20,000 left after a year. Chen Huai'an pondered over his balance, reflecting on the hardship of recent years. While other students traveled, he worked. While they indulged in games, he toiled. And while they fell in love, his girlfriend had betrayed him. In the time ahead, he planned to live for himself. He would play games, catch up on the television series he had accumulated over the years, and perhaps, if his health permitted, visit the seaside. Installation complete. Come and claim your electronic girlfriend. Ordinarily, when Chen Huai'an encountered such advertisements on his phone, his instinct was to ignore or dismiss them. However, today his finger lingered. He navigated to his home screen, where a new app icon had appeared, depicting a chibi-style figure in ancient attire, a girl clad in azure with a sword at her side, her garments billowing gracefully. An automatically installed game? Surely it could not be a virus. In the past, he would have deleted such an occurrence without a second thought, perhaps even scanning for malware. Yet today, he found himself curious about the nature of such software. With nothing left to lose, terminally ill, and having spent all his time working and studying, he had never indulged in gaming before and had long desired to try it. Upon opening the app, the screen darkened, and a prompt appeared. This game is strictly for players aged 18 and above. Game initiation will bind your identity. Your account cannot be destroyed or transferred. By starting the game, you agree to the aforementioned terms. Are you aware that this is an unconscionable clause? Chen Huai'an remarked with a slight curl of his lip. As he initiated the game, he was now entirely convinced that this was indeed a piece of malicious software. What could the developers possibly do? Steal personal information? Access chat records? If they were to discover that he was merely a hapless soul in the midst of battling cancer without the means to afford treatment, would the puppet masters behind this application not promptly uninstall it? Select your digital girlfriend. The game graphics were surprisingly exquisite. The app presented a chibi-style ancient aesthetic. Yet upon closer inspection, it revealed a striking realism. Before him lay a selection of over a dozen digital girlfriends for Chen Huai'an to choose from, each accompanied by basic information. For instance, the character currently displayed on his selection screen was Neon Underworld Heiress, Kiriko Mitsishima, age, 22 height, 158 centimeters measurements, 89, 55, 86. Judging by the live 2D model, this character was undeniably voluptuous, and even clad in a kimono, her figure was hard to conceal. With a sweet visage and the status of a gang lord's daughter, this striking contrast of a buxom lowly would likely appeal to many men. Unfortunately, she was a blonde and a denizen of Neon City, which did not pique Chen Huai'an's interest. After perusing several other characters, he discovered they hailed from various eras, some not even belonging to this world, showcasing an imaginative breadth that included a transforming princess. Ultimately, Chen Huai'an's gaze settled upon a refined young woman, disciple of Cangyun Sect, Li Qingran, age, 19 height, 169 centimeters measurements, 90, 60, 91. This Li Qingran seemed to be the very character depicted in the app's icon, now appearing more three-dimensional, with porcelain skin, delicate features, and long, dark hair cascading down her back. She donned a blue robe and carried a sword, her attire billowing gracefully. Though she wore no makeup, Her beauty was reminiscent of an ethereal painting. What captivated Chen Huai'an the most were her eyes, cold, vacant, holding a hint of fragility and emptiness, as if gazing through the screen directly at him. Could it be that such a small workshop produced something so detailed? He began to question whether this application was truly a virus after all. Such meticulous design for a virus. Were they aspiring for graduate studies or a doctorate? It's you, he decided. Confirm Li Qingran as your digital girlfriend. Caution, this choice is irrevocable. If your digital girlfriend dies, you will be unable to resurrect her. She will disappear completely. So serious? Chen Huai'an furrowed his brow, belatedly realizing that this seemed to be the developer's intent. He could almost foresee how this game would exploit its players. In the past, he would have reconsidered his decision, but today, he chose to confirm without hesitation. You have 132 days of life remaining. A message flashed across the screen. The scene unfolded before him. Chen Huai'an had anticipated that launching the game would lead to a subpar visual experience set in a novice village of a cultivation world, where he would endlessly quest, acquire equipment, and ride mounts. All the typical trappings of a low-quality mobile game. Yet, this was not the case. The screen revealed a drafty straw hut. The only semblance of a bed being a grass mat soaked by the rain. A ragged girl huddled in the corner, clutching her knees, her tangled hair obscuring her face, rendering her features indistinguishable. Her exposed arms and legs bore bruises and cuts, resembling centipede-like gashes on her pale skin, starkly contrasting her fragile appearance. Is this Li Qingran? Chen Huai'an was utterly bewildered. He noticed a broken sword near the grass mat, undoubtedly the one previously held by Li Qingran in the character page. Li Qingran is starving and freezing, her body increasingly frail. Li Qingran suffers from fire poison. Enduring excruciating pain. Li Qingran has half an hour of life remaining. As these three pieces of information appeared, the girl in the corner let out a pained groan. She slightly lifted her head, revealing her hollow, numb eyes and pale lips, even with only half of her face visible. Chen Huai'an confirmed that this was indeed the character he had chosen. What to do? A surge of urgency welled up within him. The character's demeanor and voice were alarmingly realistic, even the gruesome wounds vividly depicted, leading him to instinctively believe that if no measures were taken before the countdown in the upper right corner concluded, this girl would truly perish. At that moment, a notification popped up. Ding! A limited-time housing renovation package for a mere 6 yuan with your first recharge, ensuring your electronic girlfriend has a comfortable home. Chapter 2. Strength through recharging. Is the Yen Kingdom map really this short? Chen Huai'an was both amused and irritated upon seeing this recharge prompt. The game developers were brazenly upfront about their monetization, without pretense. Yet, gazing at the girl's pitiable condition, he couldn't help but reflect on his own life. Abandoned, financially strained. With his girlfriend having left him, how much better was his situation compared to Li Qingran's? Friends he once knew now avoided him, fearing his pleas for financial assistance, leaving him utterly isolated. Who could possibly extend a hand to him? Yet now, he had the opportunity to offer help to this girl. Even if it was merely a program, a game designed to empty his wallet. 6 yuan was a trivial sum. He would recharge. Chen Huai'an had never played a game, only watched others. This would undoubtedly be his inaugural transaction. Recharge successful. He saw the notification dissipate into golden light, cascading toward Li Qingran's dilapidated hut. The golden glow settled upon the grass mat, transforming it into a wooden bed adorned with bedding. Upon the walls, the crumbling earthen structure morphed into sturdy stone walls, complete with a window shielding against the elements. As the golden light enveloped the entire room, the floor, table, chairs, and hearth, all manner of antique furnishings materialized. Now, this is more like it. Chen Huai'an felt a wave of relief wash over him. He turned to observe Li Qingran's reaction. However, being merely a mobile game, it shouldn't be overly intricate. At most, she would express some joy. Yet, to his astonishment, he witnessed Li Qingran's expression shift from astonishment to terror, and finally to vigilance. She seemed incredulous about the unfolding events, too fearful to move from her corner. After a considerable pause, she cautiously circled the new environment like a timid kitten. Settling back onto the bed, she touched the soft mattress, her eyes reflecting only confusion. The intricate feedback and interactive system of this game left Chen Huai'an utterly astonished. As Li Qingran sat on the bed, the mattress naturally dipped slightly, with creases remaining in the places she had touched. To think that a mere mobile game could achieve such realism. He felt that even if he spent a little more money, it would be worth it, as a token of appreciation for the game's creators. However, just as this thought crossed his mind, limited time offer, recharge 30 yuan to adorn your digital girlfriend with a beautiful outfit. Chen Huai'an glanced at Li Qingran's tattered clothing, his heart softened. Recharge. With a swift motion, a stunning ancient-style blue dress appeared at the bedside. Today's special, recharge an additional 68 yuan to prepare a lavish, nutritious meal for your digital girlfriend. 68 yuan for a meal? Chen Huai'an usually spent no more than 15 on takeout. But what did it matter? Recharge. This week's special, recharge 98 yuan to receive a report on your digital girlfriend's background, complete with a health check form, allowing you to learn more about her condition. Chen Huai'an, recharge. This month's special, recharge 188 yuan to equip your digital girlfriend's home with 3 protective talismans. Chen Huai'an, recharge, recharge, recharge. Your digital girlfriend is frightened. Please wait before proceeding. The game no longer displayed any recharge prompts. Chen Huai'an looked and found that Li Qingran had hidden beneath the bed, trembling all over. The new clothes on the bed remained untouched, and the table laden with chicken, duck, and fish sat still. A countdown timer for the health report appeared in the upper right corner, indicating it would take half an hour to generate. 3 talismans had manifested on the door, windows, and ceiling, their details too faint to discern without magnification. Somewhat reassured, he noted that Li Qingran's lifespan had been extended to 6 hours. That wasn't too bad. For now, there seemed to be no major issues. The game's time synced with real time, alleviating his urgency. Speaking of which, what had happened to the fire poison on Li Qingran? He recalled that he could check her status by tapping on her, but alas, she had retreated beneath the bed, revealing only a delicate white foot. Tapping yielded no response, and it recoiled as if shocked. It seemed he would have to wait for the health report to glean any substantial information. Chen Huai'an patted his stomach, glancing at the sumptuous dishes displayed in the game. The oil from the roast duck glistened and flowed, so realistic that it felt as though he could smell its aroma. It was already afternoon, and he hadn't eaten lunch yet. He figured he could whip up a simple stir-fry. After all, the game characters appeared to dine far better than he did. With a sigh, he found solace in the thought that spending 68 yuan for such a feast seemed quite reasonable. He placed his phone on the table to charge, planning to have lunch before checking on his digital girlfriend. Li Qingran, female, 19 years old, disciple of the Cangyun Sect, Chi Shao Peak, 5th disciple. Once, her life was relatively tranquil, marked by a methodical progression of cultivation and routine missions assigned by her sect. She was under the protection of 4 senior brothers, each with their own strengths, until one fateful day when the eldest brother, Li Qingran, returned from outside, bringing with him the 6th junior sister. With his life as collateral, he allowed the seemingly talentless 6th junior sister to join Chi Shao Peak, and everything changed. The eldest brother, who had previously summoned her for morning lessons, ceased to do so. The second brother, Xiao Yifeng, known for his prowess in alchemy, no longer invited her to test medicinal concoctions. The usually aloof third brother, Yin Zimo, unexpectedly began to teach the junior sister romantic ballads. The fourth brother, Zhang Hanxiao, who was usually eager for missions, now devoted his days to guarding the junior sister at Qishao Peak. Everyone began to gather around the junior sister, Mu Baishuang. Even the usually indifferent master showed her kindness, drawn by her tragic past of familial ruin and her frail health, which gave the impression that she needed delicate care lest she shatter at any moment. Li Qingran had no objections to these changes. It was only natural for the sweet and endearing junior sister to receive such favoritism. As a senior sister, she felt compelled to look after her junior. Under the careful guidance and abundant resources provided by her 4 senior brothers, Mu Baishuang's cultivation gradually caught up to her own. During the Sect's grand competition held half a month ago, adhering to the principle of respecting one's opponent, she faced her junior sister in a proper duel. Although Mu Baishuang had improved her cultivation, the foundation laid by medicinal infusion was unstable, and her combat experience was sorely lacking. Li Qingran intended to exchange a few blows to alleviate her junior sister's pride before applying pressure for her surrender, ensuring that Mu Baishuang would save face without affecting rankings or fairness. However, Mu Baishuang's every strike aimed for vital points, relentless in her pursuit, leaving Li Qingran no choice but to defend herself. Yet, at a certain moment, the fervent Mu Baishuang unexpectedly shifted from offense to defense, charging headlong into her sword, leaving Li Qingran unable to retract her weapon, as if she were deliberately aiming to harm her junior sister. The strike only grazed Mu Baishuang's shoulder, yet it cost her dearly. Li Qingran was expelled from Qishao Peak, demoted to an outer disciple. Did she think that was the end? No. Her 4 senior brothers had no intention of letting her off lightly. They sought vengeance for Mu Baishuang. The eldest brother, Li Qingran, crippled her cultivation and pleaded with their master to strip her of her spiritual roots. The second brother forced her to consume a debilitating pill, claiming it was to let her experience the pain of the junior sister. The third brother bribed the outer sect elders to expel her from Cangyun Sect, while the fourth brother, who promised to take her down the mountain, abandoned her in a dilapidated hut on Wanshan Mountain, surrounded by ferocious beasts. leaving her to fend for herself. They seemed possessed, turning a mere misunderstanding into a grave matter, each determined to bring her to ruin for the sake of the junior sister. In the past half-month, she had done everything in her power to safeguard herself. Just days prior, she had fought off a monstrous wolf, sustaining significant injuries in the process. Now, with her cultivation stripped away, the once non-lethal fire poison within her had become a death sentence, leaving her utterly exhausted. As she huddled in a corner of the dilapidated hut, waiting for death amidst a torrential downpour, a small mountain sparrow flew swiftly through the curtain of rain. Suddenly, a voice sounded in her ear, "Home." In the blink of an eye, the crumbling hut transformed into a stone-built residence. Li Qingran had never witnessed such an occurrence. For a cultivator, constructing a dwelling is a simple task, yet transforming a dilapidated straw hut into a stone abode in an instant is no trifling matter. Moreover, conjuring clothing and sustenance from thin air is an even greater feat. The distinction between manifesting from existence and creating from nothing is profound. Initially, she suspected that a powerful cultivator was playing tricks on her, perhaps utilizing invisibility to extract items from a storage ring, yet she felt no fluctuations in spatial energy. Everything appeared as if by magic, to accomplish the miraculous feat of creation from nothing, while also perfectly embodying the flavors and aromas of food. Surely indicates the prowess of a high-level cultivator, perhaps even at the integration stage? Li Qingran was uncertain. Nevertheless, her master, the ancient and formidable Qingxian Taoist at the transformation stage, could not achieve such a marvel. He could only transmute ingredients into prepared dishes, but could not summon food into existence from thin air. Of course, it is also plausible that Qingxian Taoist had never delved into such techniques, considering that one can cultivate from the foundation stage onward. The tantalizing aroma of the food stirred Li Qingran's appetite. After her cultivation was rendered ineffective, she could no longer fast, and the flesh of many demonic beasts was often toxic, leaving her unable to distinguish safe food, relegating her to foraging for wild fruits and roots in the mountains. Hiding beneath the bed was not a viable solution. Cautiously, Li Qingran peered out from beneath the bed, summoning her courage to call out, "Which esteemed senior is performing magic here?" "I am Li Qingran, daring to request an audience with you." The surroundings fell silent, with no response, save for the torrential rain beating against the bamboo windows. After a moment of contemplation, she resolved to emerge from her hiding place. To claim she was unafraid would be disingenuous, yet considering the formidable powers of the individual, did she really possess any means of resistance? Just moments ago, she had felt a warm touch on her soul, which seemed to mock her for hiding beneath the bed. With that thought, Li Qingran bit her lip, her cheeks flushed. Well then, if death is to be, so be it. She crawled out from beneath the bed, scanning the room for any suspicious figures, ultimately her gaze betraying her resolve. Landing on the sumptuous feast laid out upon the table. Gulp! The sound of her swallowing and the rumble of her stomach resonated simultaneously. She hesitantly sat at the table, her eyes fixed upon the dishes, yet she did not reach for her chopsticks. Instead, she clasped her hands in reverence, bowing deeply. "If the esteemed senior is unwilling to reveal themselves, might you kindly inform Ching Ran whether this food is safe for her to consume? If you remain silent, I shall not touch your offerings, even if I starve." With that, Li Qingran sat before the banquet, closed her eyes, and entered a meditative state. Meanwhile, Chen Huai'an casually prepared a simple tomato and egg stir-fry for lunch. Upon returning and checking his phone, he discovered that Li Qingran had emerged from beneath the bed and was now seated at the dining table in meditation, albeit her body swayed perilously, beads of sweat adorning her cat-like face, and her nostrils flaring, clearly resisting the temptation of the food. What an amusing sight, Chen Huai'an chuckled. Who meditates in front of a feast? Is she training her willpower? The young girl's chin was nearly suspended over the roast chicken. A dialogue box suddenly popped up. Li Qingran requests permission to consume the nutritional meal. Do you agree? How strict is this? Am I required to grant permission? Chen Huai'an shook his head in bemusement and chose to agree. In the scene, Li Qingran appears to have heard something, her eyes opening wide, revealing a look of joy upon her face. "Thank you, esteemed senior. My goodness, there's sound." A sudden, melodious female voice startled Chen Huai'an, nearly causing him to drop his phone. Initially, he had not activated the sound, believing the game to be devoid of background music. However, upon increasing the volume, he discovered the authentic sounds of the environment, such as the crackling of the fire and the torrential rain outside. Yet, he had never anticipated that Li Qingran would have her own dedicated voice actress. Truly, as the saying goes, the craftsmanship of small studios is remarkable. Chen Huai'an continued to watch the girl as she dined. At first, Li Qingran took small bites, but soon her chopsticks began to move with increasing speed, transitioning into a ravenous feast that left him astounded. It was no wonder. Only in games could characters eat with such fervor. After finishing her meal, Li Qingran picked up a small cloth to wipe her mouth. Her cheeks flushed as she bowed in gratitude. I have not tasted such delectable food in a long time. Esteemed senior, your kindness shall be eternally remembered. Earlier, while she was meditating, she had suddenly heard the word ku. That sound resonated like a grand echo, penetrating her very soul. Upon opening her eyes, she beheld a colossal character composed of spiritual energy hovering over her meal. This sound was evidently a form of transmission. Many cultivators could condense spiritual energy into words. However, the appearance of this character was not a result of manipulating the surrounding energy, but rather an instantaneous manifestation. This indicated that the spiritual character had accompanied the transmission from afar. She couldn't help but wonder how distant this esteemed senior might be. Gasping inwardly, Li Qingran felt an increased sense of mystery surrounding the unseen senior. Nevertheless, given the current circumstances, it seemed that this senior bore her no ill will. Esteemed senior, I shall now tidy up the dishes. With that, Li Qingran carried the plates and stepped outside. The rain continued to pour, the sky shrouded in dark clouds, and the dense curtain of rain reduced visibility to less than 5 meters. The only sounds that broke the silence were the patter of raindrops and the faint rumble of distant thunder. The downpour had intensified compared to before. Glancing up at the sky, Li Qingran felt a surge of gratitude. If it weren't for the shelter provided by the senior, her dilapidated thatched hut would likely have collapsed by now. Outside the residence, there was a small corridor. She walked along the eaves until she quickly found the wooden bucket she had left outside the previous day. Originally intended for collecting rainwater for drinking, it was now brimming, making it convenient for her to wash the dishes. Li Qingran is washing the dishes. Li Qingran's favorability level, 5, current, 10. How remarkable. She could even wash dishes. The presence of a favorability system was not surprising. Chen Huai'an felt that this game was becoming increasingly impressive. The characters were vividly lifelike, and there were so many interactive elements. Why had he not encountered this game online before? With several minutes remaining before his identity verification and health report, Chen Huai'an began to explore other features, soon discovering new realms of possibilities. He initially believed that the game's scope was limited to the vicinity of the small house. However, he soon discovered otherwise. The game indeed featured a vast map. Upon fully unveiling the map, he realized that the location of Li Qingran was merely a diminutive circle, with a green dot representing her position, while the surrounding area was shrouded in a black mist, likely due to unexplored territory. Apart from the illuminated area around the small house, there stood a structure resembling a sect, unencumbered by the mist, with the words Cangyun Sect inscribed in golden characters. This was the very sect where Li Qingran had once resided. Chen Huai'an furrowed his brow. If Li Qingran was a disciple of the Cangyun Sect, why was she not there? Moreover, why was she in such a dire predicament? The distance to the Cangyun Sect was not significant, as it was situated atop another peak. While she was at the foot of the mountain, merely a few steps for a cultivator. There must be a considerable story behind this. He minimized the map once more, only to have his expression shift dramatically. 5 red dots had materialized near the small house, rapidly approaching Li Qingran's location. Chapter 4. All will be destroyed. Chen Huai'an was not an avid gamer, yet he had not been oblivious to the world of gaming. Typically, only enemies were marked as red dots on the map. These 5 red dots moved with astonishing speed, closing in on the small house in mere moments. This was disastrous. Li Qingran was still outside washing dishes. On the screen, Li Qingran was wholly engrossed in scrubbing plates, utterly unaware of the looming dangers surrounding the small house. A chill ran down Chen Huai'an's spine as he frantically searched the game interface for any options that might alert Li Qingran. The interface presented a plethora of choices, yet the majority were locked. Recharge 100 to purchase a communication talisman, allowing 1 message to be sent to Li Qingran. The recharge interface popped up. Without a moment to ponder the exorbitant cost of the communication talisman, he proceeded with the transaction. A notification from Alipay indicated the deduction, and simultaneously, a talisman appeared prominently on the screen. Please hold the talisman and speak. Chen Huai'an's lips twitched as he took a deep breath, pressed the communication talisman, and spoke urgently. Monsters are attacking, retreat now. A booming voice echoed in the void. Hurry. Suddenly, Li Qingran, while washing dishes, froze and looked around, as if she had heard the voice of a senior. A piercing wolf howl pierced through the rain, accompanied by a heavy growl. 3 massive, pitch-black demon wolves surged into Li Qingran's line of sight. 2 more shadowy figures of demon wolves lingered behind them. Were they the blackback demon wolves? How could this be? Li Qingran quickly connected the dots. The demon wolf she had repelled earlier must have been a scout. No wonder it had not engaged her directly. It had merely retreated at her slightest resistance, all this time merely gathering information. The recent demon wolves were now a mere 5 meters away from Li Qingran. With no room for hesitation, they lunged at her. Despite her cultivation being crippled and her spiritual roots severed, her battle experience remained intact. Seizing the moment, Li Qingran rolled to the side to evade the first demon wolf's attack, deftly tossing a plate to strike the second demon wolf that was preparing to pounce. Outside the screen, Chen Huai'an's heart raced to his throat. Observing Li Qingran move with the agility of a nimble cat, executing her actions with decisiveness, he couldn't help but slap his thigh in approval. Splendid work. What he truly feared was encountering someone who would freeze in the face of danger. Fortunately, Li Qingran remained composed and quick-witted. These demon wolves, accustomed to survival in the Vanquishing mountains, occasionally clashed with the disciples of the Cangyun Sect. At this moment, seeing a glistening object hurtling towards them, they instinctively believed it to be a magical artifact discarded by Li Qingran and reflexively dodged aside. The plate struck the ground without incident. The pack of wolves exchanged glances, feeling humiliated, their crimson eyes turning even more ferocious. Meanwhile, Li Qingran seized the opportunity to dash back into her room, shutting the door behind her. It was all over, she muttered anxiously, dragging various pieces of furniture towards the door, her mind racing with worries. Just days ago, a single demon wolf had nearly claimed her life. Now, how could she possibly contend with 5? She was already exhausted, struggling just to move a table, her face flushed from the exertion. Before she could even get the table to the door, the ominous vibrations of the approaching wolves reverberated from outside. Li Qingran's pupils constricted as she retreated to the window. Jumping out the window might be her only escape. However, just as she anticipated the wolves would break through the door, a thunderous roar erupted from outside. A flash of lightning illuminated the space beyond the door. Then came the anguished cries of the demon wolves, the air thick with the scent of charred flesh. Li Qingran looked up in astonishment, noticing a talisman affixed to the door radiating brilliant lightning. The square outline of the talisman shone through from the other side, spewing forth thunderous flames, incinerating the wolves that ventured too close into mere ashes. The Thunderfire Talisman. Li Qingran instantly recognized its name. She had been oblivious to the talisman affixed to the door when she had entered and exited earlier. But it was clear that it was the handiwork of that esteemed elder. Talismans and elixirs are categorized into 5 grades: ordinary, intermediate, advanced, transcendent, and celestial. Celestial grade talismans are enveloped in golden light, possessing unmatched potency. Only the ancient practitioners of grand sects specializing in the arts can create such celestial talismans. Ordinary Thunderfire talismans are suitable for combat against chi refinement and foundation establishment stages, while celestial-grade Thunderfire talismans can even obliterate golden core demons, making them treasures beyond monetary value. The talisman before her was a golden celestial grade. Most cultivators would keep such a talisman as a trump card for self-defense. Yet, this esteemed elder had the audacity to affix such a valuable item to her door, a reckless squandering of precious resources. Li Qingran felt both touched and pained. Outside her room, the first 2 wolves that had approached were obliterated by the Thunderfire talisman. The remaining 3 wolves stood wide-eyed with their tails tucked, paralyzed in fear at the sight. What right did they have to warrant such a powerful talisman against them? The talisman on the door continued to emit a radiant glow, signaling that retreat was impossible. Nonetheless, surrendering to a meal so tantalizingly close was not in their nature. The 3 wolves exchanged glances. 2 of them circled around to seek an entry through the window, while one prepared to climb onto the roof to find a breach. However, before it could reach the rooftop, a thunderous crash echoed. The 2 wolf demons lurking by the window were reduced to mere ash. What a calamity! The last remaining wolf demon, terrified, abandoned its quest for sustenance and fled in haste. What? Chen Huai'an's countenance turned ashen. Were this a previous occasion, he would have unhesitatingly uninstalled the game. Yet, witnessing Li Qingran's look of sheer terror and contemplating the potential return of the wolf demon with reinforcements, one must eradicate the roots to prevent resurgence. The spring breeze will only bring forth new life. Clenching his fists, his expression morphed into one of ferocity, akin to possessing a talisman of Thunderfire. With 288 vanishing from his alipay, a talisman was sent hurtling towards the fleeing demon wolf. From Li Qingran's perspective, a thunderous roar erupted overhead, followed by a brilliant beam of golden light that shot towards the demon wolf darting through the downpour. At the moment of impact, it erupted violently, leaving only the rampaging thunder and searing lightning in its wake, undiminished even amidst the torrential rain. 3 consecutive celestial-grade Thunderfire talismans. Li Qingran stared vacantly out the window. In less than half a minute, all 5 demon wolves had perished. The elder had not shown his face, merely sending a telepathic reminder. Such formidable powers were truly astonishing. Yet, why would such an individual extend aid to her? She couldn't help but recall her senior brothers and her master from the Cangyun sect. Before her junior sister's arrival, although her master and senior brothers treated her decently, their kindness was merely a formality for her master, and her senior brother's intentions were tinged with ulterior motives. For instance, the eldest brother, Li Qingran, a fire elemental, desired her, a water elemental, as a partner. The second brother, Xiao Yifeng, obsessed with alchemy, lacked time to tend to spiritual herbs, often delegating the task to her, occasionally asking her to test potions. The third brother, Yun Zimo, a martial enthusiast, frequently sought her for sparring, often without regard for her well-being. And the fourth brother, Zhang Hanxiao, with a mischievous disposition, stirred trouble during sect missions, leaving her to clean up the mess as a scapegoat. What, then, were this elder's intentions? Yet, she possessed nothing but her own wretched life. Or perhaps, devoid of any ulterior motive, he merely happened to pass through, feeling her plight and offering assistance? Li Qingran shook her head, casting aside these convoluted thoughts. Regardless, the elder had bestowed upon her the gift of life. Should she survive, she would undoubtedly strive to repay such kindness. Junior sister Ching Ran, once again, I express my heartfelt gratitude for your assistance. This time, she refrained from uttering anything further, instead kneeling towards the heavens, bowing in solemn respect. Li Qingran's favorability, 5, current total, 15, quite impressive. Her favorability was rising swiftly. Chen Huai'an stroked his chin, nodding with a smile. It seems my investment of 288 was not in vain. This game is indeed exhilarating. Having played for only a short while, he had already poured in several hundred. He could somewhat comprehend the fervor of those addicted youths who would borrow money to indulge in games. It was likely akin to his own obsession. Ding. The health report for Li Qingran has been generated, and the detailed identity information is now available. Chen Huai'an's eyes brightened, and he rubbed his hands together in excitement. It's here, it's here. Chapter 11. The Essence of Li Qingran. What? Chen Huai'an was utterly bewildered. Wait, they really sent it. Is this how small workshops operate? Moreover, this game must be the work of hackers. Isn't this solid proof? They've opened the box for him. Typically, one would feel fear in such situations. However, Chen Huai'an was unperturbed. He had nothing to lose, so what was there to fear? Hey, you must be hiding in the corridor, right? Come out and talk. This game is too demanding. Can't you make some adjustments? I really have no money. He shouted into the dark corridor, his voice echoing as it traveled down the hallway, but no one responded. Fine, if you won't come out. Chen Huai'an pouted and slammed the door shut. He knew these hackers wouldn't reveal themselves. His words were merely a probe. I want to see how this unfolds. He sat on the sofa, opening the box, feeling a twinge of curiosity, since the sender took the trouble to deliver a custom item representative of a game character. It indicated a deep commitment to the game, suggesting that the quality of this gift must be exceptional. Inside the box was a square sachet, exquisitely crafted. However, as Chen Huai'an turned it over, he couldn't help but twitch his lips. The sachet bore 3 traditional Chinese characters, Chen Huai'an. Below them was a line of smaller text, safe and sound. Clearly, this was a talisman, but the characters. Chen Huai'an thought he had written better when he was in elementary school. It resembled the scrawl of a dog. The craftsmanship seemed refined, but the lettering immediately diminished its elegance. What could be inside? He attempted to open the sachet, but its material was sturdier than he had anticipated, proving difficult to tear. Thus, to ascertain its contents, he leaned in to take a whiff. What a revelation! A subtle fragrance surged into his nostrils. It was neither sweet nor cloying, but rather simple and elegant, devoid of any aggressiveness. It was akin to a girl quietly expressing her longing. He couldn't quite place the scent. Yet the image of Li Qingran naturally surfaced in his mind. He even experienced an illusion that this aroma was indeed that of Li Qingran. I can't believe it. Chen Huai'an was astonished. What kind of game could achieve this? He had heard of gift-giving games, where friends of his in college received items like flavored stockings from female characters, which also had a scent, but those were merely the banal fragrances of cheap perfumes, devoid of any associative power. This talisman was entirely different. He tried various positions to inhale the fragrance, but Li Qingran remained in his thoughts. Even when he opened the small dossier to face his favorite teacher and inhaled again, Li Qingran still lingered in his mind. Incredible. Chen Huai'an slapped his thigh. No, my friend, do you possess the audacity to exploit such technology for monetary gain in gaming? Establishing a perfume brand founded on the allure of free promotion could indeed lead to substantial profits. Ultimately, Chen Huai'an chose to keep the talisman close to him. It was not without reason. This talisman truly provided him with a sense of being crafted by Li Qingran herself. By midday, Chen Huai'an had procured all necessities. He casually found a barber shop downstairs from the hospital to shave his head, placed the cancer diagnosis certificate prominently on his livestream account's homepage, and enlisted a doctor's assistance to film an inspirational vlog subsequently posting his inaugural video, investing 1,000 yuan in promotion. He dined on a modest meal of noodles at a nearby eatery. By afternoon, he boarded the flight to Leishan. His livestream account exuded an audacious, youthful spirit. Youth bears no price, and life is singular. I am Chen Huai'an, diagnosed with terminal cancer. In the time I have left, I shall defy fate, mock death, and challenge the limits of my physical being, illuminating my existence to the fullest. Today's challenge, a 5-hour ascent to the summit of Leishan. Upon arriving at the foot of Leishan, it was already 7 in the evening. His ambition was to commence his climb by midnight, allowing him to witness the dawn from the peak, fulfilling a small dream of his. As for the potential earnings, he remained uncertain. However, the spectacle of an individual with terminal cancer ascending Leishan was a rarity. His legs throbbed painfully, his ankles swollen to the point of discomfort even in footwear, making any form of movement excruciating. He found a chair at the base of Leishan and rested for 3 hours. After 10 o'clock, feeling rejuvenated, Chen Huai'an retrieved his phone once more. He first opened the game to check on Li Qingran. The young woman had risen and was meditating on her bed. Her table adorned with freshly washed dishes and a basket of fruit, of which only a morsel had been consumed. These were all offerings he had provided her that day. Such a diligent girl. It was time for him to put forth the same effort. The anxiety that had once consumed him dissipated upon seeing her. Taking a deep breath, a smile crept upon Chen Huai'an's lips as he opened his livestream account. After a day of anticipation, his vlog had garnered considerable attention, even for tonight's stream. Over 100 individuals had made reservations. While this number paled in comparison to that of typical outdoor streamers, he felt an immense sense of satisfaction. As the saying goes, all beginnings are difficult. Streamer, how can you prove you are a terminal cancer patient? Surely, you are not here to elicit sympathy and profit from pity? Climbing Leishan with terminal cancer is one thing, but a 5-hour ascent to the summit? Are you not suffering from bone cancer, my friend? Even deceit must adhere to some logic. Ha ha ha, this is utterly ridiculous. As Chen Huai'an anticipated, the moment he commenced his live stream, a barrage of skepticism ensued. He refrained from responding, instead choosing to patiently invest in another round of promotions for his stream until the audience swelled to several hundred. He finally spoke. Hello everyone. My name is Chen Huai'an. I will ascend Mount Leishan within 5 hours, live streaming the entire journey without any editing as a terminal cancer patient. My profile contains my diagnosis, payment records, and examination results. If you suspect my diagnosis is forged, feel free to verify it at the relevant hospital. I welcome any substantiation. After saying this, he turned the camera towards his legs. He then rolled up his pant leg, removed his shoes and socks, revealing swollen ankles adorned with burn-like lumps. As he continued to pull up his pant leg, it became evident that the swelling on his right leg had spread to his knee. As you can see, my current physical condition is dire. Every step inflicts immense pain upon my nerves, burdening my body heavily. Chen Huai'an turned the camera back, touching his bald head and revealing a carefree smile. But I will prove myself. I will tread upon the head of illness, mocking the impotence of fate, and defiantly raise my middle finger to death. At that moment, at sunrise, I shall share this determination with all of you behind the screen. Equipped with comprehensive medical materials, the mottled lumps on his leg, his striking bald head, and Chen Huai'an's carefree smile, all 4 formidable weapons were unveiled. The entire livestream room fell into a hushed silence. Chapter 12. We are here to validate your reality, oh my. This is so touching. I can't help but suspect that the host is merely out to make money. So passionate. I feel utterly ashamed. Host, please don't climb anymore. I'll send you gifts. Chen Huai'an's heartfelt words sparked a partial reversal in the livestream's comments. Though some skepticism remained, questioning whether his proof might also be fabricated or suggesting they would personally come to Mount Leishan to validate him. To that friend who wishes to come to validate me, you may set off now. I will begin my ascent at 12 o'clock sharp and will not go anywhere before that. Once these words were uttered, a number of responses surged in the livestream. Climbing Mount Leishan with advanced bone cancer? What a scam. At his computer, a young man, still fuming from a recent gaming defeat, exclaimed, perfect. I can't sleep anyway out of frustration. He left a message in the livestream. I'm just an hour's drive from Mount Leishan. Wait for me to validate the host. With that, he grabbed his keys and departed. There are too many scammers online. Report one, and 2 more appear. Just like those gaming trolls. Now, driven by a desire for justice, he thought, if I can't catch the trolls, surely I can expose a sob-story live-streaming host at the foot of Mount Leishan. Chen Huai'an noticed these comments as well. In fact, he hoped someone would come to validate him. More the merrier, because this would not only prove he is a genuine cancer patient, but also make his live stream more popular. Once the viewership surged and caught the attention of higher tier accounts, his opportunity to earn would arise. Brothers, click follow so you don't lose track. I don't have much time left. Right now, I am racing against time. Besides climbing mountains, I wish to try more extreme sports in the future, like skydiving or bungee jumping. Chen Huai'an's words ignited another wave of comments, with both mockers and supporters present. However, what concerns everyone the most is whether Chen Huai'an is truly a cancer patient, and if so, whether he can reach the summit of Mount Lei within 5 hours. If not, they will simply await the arrival of those who are genuine and treat it as a source of amusement. As midnight approached, Chen Huai'an checked his equipment once more. As a patient aspiring to summit within 5 hours, he must travel light, initially planning to carry 2 power banks. He ultimately decided to bring just one, slung over his shoulder to reduce weight. His phone battery was dwindling. After just 2 hours of live streaming, it was down to 27, depleting rapidly. However, with the power bank support, he should manage to last until he descends. Are you Chen Huai'an? A voice called from behind. Chen Huai'an turned to see a young man, 2 middle-aged men, and a punk girl. Are you from the livestream? Indeed, we are here to verify you. Zhang Rui remarked bluntly, a cold smile on his face. On the way to Mount Lei, he had created a group with several viewers intent on uncovering the truth about Chen Huai'an, to prevent any chance of escape. They had gathered at the entrance before seeking him out, ensuring their blockade could not be breached. Hello, everyone. Chen Huai'an greeted the 4 fans with a smile, his tone lighthearted. I thought this journey would be solitary. Having company is a delightful surprise. However, Zhang Rui did not reciprocate the sentiment, pointing at Chen Huai'an's leg. That lump on your leg, it's special effects makeup, right? Roll up your pant leg and let me see. Nonchalantly, Chen Huai'an complied. Zhang Rui and the other fans leaned in with their flashlights for a closer look. The punk girl even reached out to pinch it, gasping in disbelief. Oh my. It's a real subcutaneous lump. How can he even walk? Wait, is he for real? Zhang Rui's composure faltered as he instinctively averted his gaze, muttering. A lump doesn't necessarily indicate bone cancer, that's osteosarcoma. Chen Huai'an chuckled softly. You could look up information on osteosarcoma online and compare it to mine. Well, it's time for me to start my ascent. Zhang Rui opened his mouth, wanting to say something more, but Chen Huai'an had already begun to walk forward, holding his live streaming equipment aloft. You're being a bit excessive. The punk girl, Su Xiaoqian, shot a glance at Zhang Rui. Regardless of whether it's osteosarcoma, there's clearly something wrong with his leg. Considering the evidence, the likelihood of him lying is quite low. Show a bit of compassion. Indeed, young man, nodded one of the middle-aged men. My father passed away from cancer. He had osteosarcoma. How could I not recognize it? For him to climb Mount Lei while battling such a severe illness is commendable enough. Simply standing here, instead of lying in a hospital bed, is remarkable. Absolutely. Another middle-aged man chimed in. Bone cancer can lead to secondary fractures, necessitating a reduction in high-intensity activities. For this young man to attempt the climb is a testament to his courage and determination. Zhang Rui, feeling ashamed, scratched his neck and fell silent. As the 4 individuals witnessed Chen Huai'an moving further away, they hastily pursued him. Host, your rig appears quite heavy. Shall I assist you with it? Su Xiaoqian, feeling a sense of guilt, stepped forward to offer her help. However, Chen Huai'an shook his head in refusal, stating, no need. I prefer to carry it myself for easier adjustment of angles. Besides, climbing with this rig is a promise I made to my audience. Well done, young man. An elder praised, giving him a thumbs up, his face filled with admiration. Incredible. The crowd rallied in encouragement for Chen Huai'an. Zhang Rui eventually chimed in, my friend, I apologize. I lost a game today and my mind is a bit clouded, hence I spoke out of turn. It's all right. I understand your concerns, after all. Earning a living is no easy feat, Chen Huai'an replied without looking back. In that case, let me send you a gift as an apology. Upon hearing this, Chen Huai'an immediately turned around, flashing a warm and affable smile. What will you send me? I'll send you a big rocket. The one worth 2,000 yuan. Great. Thank you. You're truly a good person. Zhang Rui. He realized that this host was indeed in dire straits, genuinely seeking to earn money. However, he found it perplexing. With Chen Huai'an's current struggles, wouldn't his condition worsen? Nevertheless, given his decent background, if Chen Huai'an needed the funds, he would gladly contribute. Zhang Rui entered Chen Huai'an's livestream, first clicking to follow and then sending 10 big rockets. Wow, the boss is generous. Isn't this the same guy from real life? He must be feeling guilty. It appears the host is genuinely battling cancer. I've never seen something so real live. Front row witnessing. Sigh. It's tough for the host. I'll send something too. Keep it up, host. If it gets too hard, we can stop climbing. And we'll support you. The 10 rockets indeed triggered a chain reaction of gifting, simultaneously attracting more viewers to the livestream. The number of people in the room was surging rapidly. Witnessing the downpour of gifts alongside the buzz of advanced bone cancer, 5-hour summit challenge, many decided to stay. Thanks to the boss for the 10 big rockets. Chen Huai'an felt a surge of joy and immediately acknowledged Zhang Rui with a camera shot. The young man, however, bashfully turned away, his face flushed. After platform deductions, those 10 rockets would net him 10,000 yuan. This was akin to striking gold in the realm of luck. Indeed, the internet was a swift avenue for financial gain. Watching the value of gifts accumulate rapidly, Chen Huai'an couldn't help but feel a twinge of melancholy. Those taxi drivers, construction workers, and delivery boys toiled for an entire day, earning less than what a popular streamer could make in half an hour of tips. Yet, he was indeed putting in the effort. As he ascended the steps, the sharp pain radiated through him, beads of sweat trickling down his forehead. The voices of doubt and mockery in the live stream began to dwindle. Zhang Rui and the others silently trailed behind Chen Huai'an, even as his pace was excruciatingly slow. They watched his faltering figure, their throats constricted, unable to utter a word. Chen Huai'an was in pain. Sweat soaked the protective talisman resting against his chest, while a subtle yet potent fragrance lingered at the tip of his nose. The visage of Li Qingran emerged in his mind, prompting him to ponder what that young lady might be doing at this very moment. Chapter 13. The Frenzied Beasts. What could the senior be occupied with at this time? Li Qingran, resting her chin in her hands, gazed at the ceiling. She could likely sense that Chen Huai'an was quite busy, too preoccupied to attend to her. A figure of his stature was undoubtedly engaged in battle on behalf of all the cultivators of the Cangyun Realm, perhaps even eradicating formidable demons. As this thought crossed her mind, an image formed of an elderly man with flowing white hair, exuding an aura of ethereal grace as he wielded his flying sword to vanquish a great demon, causing an unbidden smile to bloom on her face. If only the senior were her master. But she admonished herself, no, Li Qingran, do not overreach. She lightly tapped her head as a reminder. Today, the senior had bestowed upon her a generous 12 spirit crystals, sustaining a high-level gathering array for 6 hours. He had also rather abruptly elevated her cultivation to the 5th level of qi refinement, thanks to the restoration of her meridians and internal injuries. The dissipation of spiritual energy within her dantian had significantly slowed. However, her dantian remained fractured, akin to a basin riddled with holes, causing the energy to seep out gradually. She needed to devise a solution for her dantian and spiritual root issues. Though the senior possessed immense capabilities, she could not burden him with every triviality. If he chose to assist her, that was his prerogative, but she could not proactively solicit his aid. She had already formulated a rough plan. She could not rely on the Cangyun sect. She must seek out other sects, even minor ones, as they might house ancient texts that could provide methods for mending her dantian and spiritual root. If all else failed, perhaps she could leave the realm of cultivation to find a serene and picturesque place to live in seclusion, gathering clues about her enemies at a leisurely pace. Or even return to the Southern Dynasty to become a general. As for avenging herself against those senior brothers, Li Qingran had not considered that. She had never been their match before, and her chances now seemed even more bleak. While such thoughts might seem cowardly, they aligned with the survival principles of the cultivation world. She had previously resigned herself to death. It mattered little. Yet now, she yearned to live longer, to await the day when the senior concluded his pressing matters and would be willing to meet her, even if just to exchange a few words of gratitude. Something was amiss. Hadn't Li Qingran been cast into a thatched hut? Song Jiaojiao frowned as she observed the stone house at the foot of the mountain. Cultivators possessed exceptional vision. She discerned that the stone abode was newly constructed, indicating that someone was aiding Li Qingran. But who could that benefactor be? The few direct disciples of Qishao Peak? While the possibility existed, even if Mu Baishuang had mentioned their deep-seated animosity towards Li Qingran, what if they still held some lingering affection and offered her a semblance of support? If she were to eliminate Li Qingran, it would mean opposing those few direct disciples. Yet, she was reluctant to relinquish the foundation-building elixir. Song Jiaojiao pondered briefly and resolved to test the waters. She intended to ascertain whether any of the individuals had left behind traces near Li Qingran's residence. Thus, she retrieved a half-zhang-long red incense stick from her storage ring. This incense, known as Beast's Call, possesses a wide dispersal range, eluding detection by cultivators while adeptly attracting the keenly nosed beasts, typically employed during hunts to lure creatures. It can also serve as a lethal weapon under certain circumstances. Initially, her scheme was to storm into the thatched cottage, assassinate Li Qingran, and dispose of the corpse in the mountains to feed the beasts, a method she deemed the cleanest. However, with the change in plans, she dared not approach recklessly and opted instead to utilize the beast's call to incite the beasts to carry out the killing. Despite the potential for such a commotion to attract the attention of the sect, Li Qingran, when the walls crumble, do not blame me. Song Jiaojiao ignited the red incense and flicked it with her fingers. The incense soared and landed on a tree near the residence. Having accomplished this, She swiftly arranged a concealment array to mask her presence. An impending minor beast riot would undoubtedly attract a few formidable characters. This array would ensure her safety. Now, all that remained was to hide in the shadows and observe. It would take some time for the beasts to gather after catching the scent, while the girl in the stone house remained blissfully unaware of the impending danger. At 5 in the morning, a faint, hazy light began to illuminate the horizon. Chen Huai'an was nearing the mountain summit, albeit in poor condition. The winds atop the mountain were fierce and the temperatures low. Many tourists, who had been sweating profusely halfway up, began to feel the chill as their perspiration dried in the cold breeze, prompting them to either quicken their pace or seek warmth in nearby eateries for a hot bowl of congee. However, Chen Huai'an's situation was markedly different. His complexion was pale, his body drenched in sweat, and every step felt precarious, with droplets falling from the soaked hem of his clothing. This was agonizing. Along the way, he had consumed merely 2 pieces of bread, the rest of his sustenance comprising solely water, which he continued to drink. Yet, despite his faltering steps, each footfall grew more resolute, his body steadying. His back remained straight, and his calm gaze was fixed ahead, the light in his eyes resembling that of a pilgrim. "Brother, let me carry you up. Stop climbing." Zhang Rui was on the verge of tears, knowing this experience would stay with him for a lifetime. He watched helplessly as a patient, afflicted with bone tumors, persevered through excruciating pain, steadily ascending the stone steps. The 2 middle-aged men were struggling to keep pace, and even the punk girl was gasping for breath. Zhang Rui, who regularly exercised and possessed good stamina, felt his pressure stem primarily from the psychological realm. With every step Chen Huai'an took, and each drop of sweat that fell from his hem, Zhang Rui felt his heart constrict painfully. Throughout the journey, Chen Huai'an never uttered a complaint. He embraced their malice with a spirit of tolerance and tranquility. Behind Chen Huai'an trailed not only the 4 friends, but also numerous other tourists. Many had turned back midway, but, upon hearing Chen Huai'an's story, spontaneously chose to follow him. And soon the throng grew increasingly larger. At this moment, nearing the summit, the size of the group had formed a lengthy serpent along the stone steps. The pinnacle was within reach. Chen Huai'an lifted his gaze towards the peak, a smile gracing his lips. He was determined to persevere until he reached the top. An hour prior, a senior of level 57 had proclaimed that if he could ascend before dawn, he would reward him with 66 drum tower cities, each valued at 2888, which, after platform deductions, would amount to a net of 95,000. Coupled with the cumulative tips from other tourists, he could potentially earn around 12,000 that night. However, one could not dismiss the possibility that the senior was merely boasting. Chen Huai'an regarded these prospects with equanimity. His resolve to summit was unwavering, regardless of the promised gift. His motivation for climbing Mount Lei was not solely financial. He yearned to explore the limits of his existence, to ascertain how much vitality he could still muster. Yet, just as he approached the final 98 steps to the summit, an excruciating pain surged through his right leg. His body faltered, collapsing onto the stone steps. Su Shaoqian, trailing behind, instinctively glanced at Chen Huai'an's leg, her expression shifting in alarm as she gasped, "Ah, his leg." Chen Huai'an gritted his teeth, lowered his gaze, and beheld his leg, which had twisted grotesquely from the ankle to the knee. It was broken. Chapter 14, Mirage. Pathological fractures are a common symptom in patients with bone cancer. The cancerous cells weaken and render the bone tissue fragile, making fractures a frequent occurrence. Such a fate had befallen Chen Huai'an. As the pain intensified, a numbing sensation began to set in. The physical agony remained tolerable, while the emotional torment paled in comparison. Chen Huai'an felt that nothing could rival the heartache he endured when his parents perished in a fire. Thus, amidst the concerned gazes and inquiries of surrounding tourists, he calmly adjusted his camera and addressed Zhang Rui, who was supporting him, saying, "My friend, could you please unzip my backpack?" "Wait, my friend, call an ambulance quickly." "Why are you concerned about a backpack?" Zhang Rui had never witnessed this side of Chen Huai'an, as though the deformed leg was not his own. "An ambulance can't reach us here. Just help me with the backpack. I have a plan." Reluctantly, Zhang Rui unfastened the backpack and unzipped it, handing it to Chen Huai'an. From within, he retrieved a bag and extracted a collapsible cane. "Zhang Rui, other tourists, is this your brilliant plan?" they murmured, expecting some miraculous pain relief medication. "All right, let us continue." Chen Huai'an adeptly used the cane to prop himself up. The likelihood of fractures occurring due to bone cancer was high, hence he had often relied on a cane even before any fractures manifested, fearing he would be unprepared when the time came. Now, having finally experienced a fracture, it felt as though he was engaging in a fateful dance with destiny. In the live streaming room, the audience silently showered likes and gifts, while some urged the host to descend from the mountain. Doubts regarding the authenticity of Chen Huai'an's ailment had dissipated. Indeed, they They no longer cared to inquire about the nature of his affliction. Their sole concern rested upon whether this formidable individual would make the journey worthwhile. His twisted right leg seemed to embody the weight of fate and the mockery of death. The cane in Chen Huai'an's hand stood as a defiant gesture towards mortality and destiny. Even if they barred him from reaching the summit and rendered his leg useless, he remained determined to ascend. The onlookers gazed at the figure laboriously inching upward, filled with profound respect for the young man's unwavering resolve, surely indicative of grand aspirations. Charge forth. The sponsorship of 90,000 awaits. 1,000 draws for the grand prize pool. Chen Huai'an glared at the diminishing steps, his teeth clenched. His visage contorted with rage. The primordial sky-repairing pill. Ha ha ha. Just a mere primordial sky-repairing pill. The surrounding visitors, in turn, felt an even deeper admiration, noting the pain etched across his features. Atop Mount Ling, as Chen Huai'an's trembling leg finally touched the last step, an unripe glimmer of light pierced through countless layers of clouds, spreading from the dim horizon and caressing the crown of his head. A flock of birds soared through the radiant beams. The sound of bells echoed in the distant mountains. In the next moment, a resplendent sun erupted from the horizon, casting its fiery glow and illuminating the entire expanse. Chen Huai'an's eyes widened, his heart quaking, as the surrounding visitors fell silent, transfixed by the scene. All gazed intently as the hazy mountain contours were bathed in golden light. Suddenly, a voice rang out, "Bow." The proclamation, seemingly from nowhere, reverberated through the air. Strange ripples undulated in the sunlight, akin to disturbed lake waters, creating layers of waves. Amidst these ripples, an ancient procession materialized, flickering in and out of view. At the forefront stood a figure of regal stature, clad in a dark dragon robe, adorned with a crown and a sword at his waist. Accompanied by civil and military officials, the literati holding tablets and the warriors clad in dark armor, servants bearing ceremonial vessels, all treading upon clouds, with bricks and tiles emerging beneath their feet, advancing step by step towards the summit of Mount Ling. What is this? A mirage? No. Are they filming a movie here? The tourists stared in disbelief at the unfolding spectacle. At that moment, the procession remained a distance away, yet they still had the presence of mind to discuss amongst themselves. In the blink of an eye, the procession had traversed miles, suddenly appearing before them. The summit of Mount Ling fell into a hushed silence, as if the very air had stilled, compelling all to refrain from speech. Something weighed upon them, rendering them immobile and speechless. Chen Huai'an stood frozen, gazing at the imposing monarch approaching him. He could not discern the ruler's features, only felt a blurring sensation that clouded his vision. The procession glided through the crowd of visitors like smoke and mist, elusive and untouchable. They marched with unwavering focus, as if from another realm, their paths intersecting through the annals of history, yet remaining unaffected by one another. Initially, Chen Huai'an perceived it thus, until the monarch stood directly before him. In the fleeting moment before passing through his corporeal form, the emperor slightly inclined his head, his gaze descending, golden vertical pupils locking onto Chen Huai'an. A chill ran down Chen Huai'an's spine. He swore the emperor was indeed looking at him, and it was no mere coincidence. He could even sense the scrutiny within that gaze. Yet, this moment of connection lasted but an instant. The emperor transcended Chen Huai'an's being, gradually vanishing into the mist enveloping the summit of Mount Ling. The mirage at the pinnacle of Mount Ling sparked fervent discussions across the internet, swiftly ascending to the top of trending topics. Experts speculated that it was the emperor's retinue. The mirage depicted the scene of the ancient emperor's sacrificial rites at Mount Ling. As for why such a distant historical event would manifest in the present, experts have yet to devise a more compelling explanation. However, it is said that one should not speak of the supernatural. Ultimately, a scientific rationale will surely emerge. Chen Huai'an paid little heed to the online uproar, including the fleeting glance he caught of the mirage. As a staunch materialist, should anyone suggest the presence of a ghostly woman in his home, he would promptly descend to the supermarket to procure a box of Okamoto 001, not for any other reason than to contribute, however modestly, to the diversity of species. The brother of level 57 kept his word. 66 drum and gong Dragon City contributions had already been received, expressing gratitude to Chen Huai'an for allowing him to witness a phenomenon so rare that it would elude him for lifetimes. This singular experience was worth the generous support. He further proclaimed his intent to back Chen Huai'an's future endeavors. Chen Huai'an felt a surge of satisfaction. He relished the loyalty of such devoted supporters. With the live streaming task fulfilled and his phone battery depleted, he exchanged brief farewells before concluding the broadcast. "Brother, how do you plan to descend the mountain? By cable car or palanquin?" Following the recent events, Zhang Rui held Chen Huai'an in profound admiration. Previously, He had been skeptical of anyone deserving the title of dragon among men. Now, he was convinced. In his eyes, Chen Huai'an had attained a superhuman status. Certainly by cable car, Chen Huai'an replied. Presently, numerous university students were offering companionship climbing services at Mount Ling, along with palanquin bearers to assist in descending. He opted for the cable car primarily for its affordability and speed, eager to return to his electronic girlfriend. As it happened, he had already accrued 120,000 in earnings. Though live streaming was arduous, it presented a viable path to financial gain. Yet, the illness he faced was formidable, amputation was inevitable, and the survival rate post-surgery was alarmingly low. The attending physician had not explicitly stated it, but hints in their discourse suggested that the illness had likely metastasized. Thus, was it worth investing money in a gamble on treatment? Should he strive to earn for chemotherapy, or simply embrace the joy of living in the moment? As Chen Huai'an pondered these matters, he arrived at the cable car station, supported by Zhang Rui and a few fellow streamers. The ticketing area was overcrowded, teeming with both local visitors and numerous foreigners. FUC. A voice erupted from the crowd. An expletive directed at a foreigner who had been struck by a loose stone while attempting to cut in line. Serves you right. That's what you get for not queuing properly. Zhang Rui and the others exchanged glances, delighting in the misfortune. Before long, it was Chen Huai'an's turn to board the cable car. The cable car at this site accommodates up to 8 passengers simultaneously. Zhang Rui, supporting Chen Huai'an, was about to board when he noticed several individuals inside the car, adorned with tattoos of dragons and tigers, whose appearance suggested they were not of the virtuous sort. Brother, shall we still board? Zhang Rui hesitated, glancing at Chen Huai'an. Of course, Chen Huai'an replied nonchalantly. Although these individuals seemed dubious, appearances can be deceiving. Perhaps the elder merely had a penchant for embellishments of mythical creatures. One must not judge solely by looks. However, at that moment, a sudden snap echoed as the cord holding the protective talisman broke, causing it to tumble to the ground. Chen Huai'an paused, bending down to retrieve it. His movements were sluggish, prompting a few men in the cable car to hurl insults and impatient remarks. Suddenly, a thunderous rumble erupted. The entire Mount Ling trembled violently, shaking the very ground. The instant Chen Huai'an grasped the talisman, he was thrown to the ground, rolling uncontrollably into the ticket hall. Damn! Get out of the way, he cried, grimacing in pain as debris from above began to rain down. Falling rocks. In a dazed state, he heard shouts, followed by the panicked screams of the crowd, the earth-shattering roar, and the shattering glass of the cable car. Chapter 15. If there is a next life? The earthquake at Mount Ling triggered a catastrophic rockfall. A massive boulder crashed down in front of the cable car ticket hall, flattening a cable car that was about to descend. Fortunately, the cableway itself remained unaffected, sparing the tourists aboard from disaster. Even more astonishing was the revelation that the 7 individuals crushed within the cable car were drug traffickers. Both buyers and sellers were present. Moreover, these 7 were key figures in 2 drug trafficking organizations, with blood on their hands. Many claimed it was the manifestation of the mountain god's wrath. Others connected this unexpected calamity to the mirage seen during the Mount Ling sacrificial ceremony. This was information that Chen Huai'an would later learn. Upon descending the mountain, his first action was not to call for an ambulance, but to borrow a power bank from a small supermarket. Once his phone was charged, he launched the electronic girlfriend game, sitting calmly as if nothing had happened, while Zhang Rui, beside him, anxiously dialed for emergency services. He felt a sense of shared responsibility for Chen Huai'an's injuries, believing that had he not spoken so harshly, perhaps Chen Huai'an would not have insisted on climbing Mount Ling. Let me check on my electronic girlfriend, he thought. As soon as the game loaded, Chen Huai'an was bombarded with notifications. You have 130 days of life remaining. Your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran, is under attack by a minor beast wave. Your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran, is fighting valiantly. Your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran, has sustained injuries. Your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran, is severely injured. What is happening? Chen Huai'an's heart sank. How could she be injured after such a brief excursion? How could a beast wave attack at such an hour? Even if it aligned with the nocturnal habits of these creatures, this is a game. Do players not require rest? He hastily dismissed the notifications, only to be met with a heart-wrenching scene. The residence lay in ruins, besieged by the relentless assault of monstrous beasts. Li Qingran found herself encircled by these fiends, surrounded by the grotesque remnants of their fallen brethren. Kneeling amidst a pool of blood, her head bowed. Her flowing hair obscured her face. Clutching a broken sword, she wore a newly acquired garment, originally a gift for recharging, now marred by countless claw marks. Beneath the tattered fabric, there were no alluring sights, only gruesome wounds. Your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran, is on the brink of death. Alas, she lamented. Unable to meet her esteemed predecessor even once, Li Qingran felt the grip of mortality tightening around her. With great effort, she lifted her gaze to the gaping hole in the ceiling, her pallid cheeks devoid of color. Her hollow eyes stared into the morning sky, dimming with each passing moment as her surroundings faded into obscurity. In her 19 years, reflections of the past were steeped in sorrow. Her father had perished on the battlefield, her mother poisoned by an assassin from a rival nation. She had once believed that joining the Cangyun sect would allow her to avenge her parents, only to discover she had merely traded one quagmire for another. The rigid laws of the cultivation realm forbade interference in the affairs of mortals. Yet these rules served only to bind ordinary cultivators. Thus, she devoted herself to enhancing her abilities, diligently striving for a future where she could transcend such constraints and offer solace to the souls of her departed parents. Now, however, she found herself expelled from the sect, her spiritual roots obliterated, reduced to a pitiful state. A sparrow flitted through the hole in the rooftop, igniting a glimmer of hope in Li Qingran's eyes. In just 2 short days, memories of her encounters with her predecessor surfaced in her mind. Though the elder had never appeared, they had bestowed upon her unrequited care and warmth. In this life, she felt utterly powerless to repay such kindness. Coughing violently, she hunched over, blood mingling with tears as they trickled down her chin. Should there be a next life? Just then, a beast lunged at Li Qingran, sensing her impending collapse, ready to rend her flesh. In that moment, a torrent of lightning cascaded from the heavens. Thunderous booms resounded as the brilliant lightning descended with a ferocious authority, engulfing the small dwelling and its surroundings in blinding white light. Song Jiaojiao, who had been on the verge of retreat, hid within a concealed formation, her eyes wide in astonishment. What had she just witnessed? A multitude of thunderfire talismans plummeting from the sky, aimed directly at the beasts. Were these talismans Li Qingran's? Yet, even the most modest thunderfire talisman cost 500 low-grade spirit stones. This display must have consumed at least tens of thousands. There was no way Li Qingran possessed such wealth, leading to only one conclusion. Someone behind her had intervened. Who could this individual be? Song Jiaojiao's complexion paled as she gazed upon the tempest of thunder. The lightning continued to pour forth, as if it were free, raining down in handfuls. More than 200 talismans were unleashed, obliterating the beasts both inside and outside the small house, reducing them and their remains to mere ash. As the lightning gradually subsided, the dwelling remained intact, yet the surrounding area was riddled with a plethora of scorched craters. In the small cabin, Li Qingran lay unconscious in a pool of blood, surrounded by raging thunder and fire, yet shielded by a golden barrier. Hiss! This place is not safe for prolonged stay. Song Jiaojiao felt an ominous premonition stir within her heart. In the next moment, a thunderfire talisman suddenly appeared above her head. The talisman radiated golden light, and the characters inscribed upon it bore the majesty of thunder. Is this an immortal-grade item? Song Jiaojiao's eyes widened. An immortal-grade thunderfire talisman was directed at her, a mere low-level cultivator who had yet to establish her foundation. There was no need to ponder how they had discovered her. To those who could discard such talismans as if they were refuse, her concealment array must have appeared as a mere toy. Ha ha ha. A bitter smile crossed Song Jiaojiao's face. In the next instant, boom. A golden bolt of lightning, as thick as a water barrel, descended from the heavens. The concealment array shattered instantly, and with it, Song Jiaojiao was obliterated, leaving no trace behind. Upon witnessing the red dots on the map extinguished entirely, Chen Huai'an finally breathed a sigh of relief. He had not felt this tense even when enduring fractures and landslides on Ling Mountain. Damn it. Why does this game not have an enemy alert system? One moment of inattention, and monsters are already raiding your home? He had already drawn from the koi pool 500 times. The items he obtained were either spirit stones or thunderfire talismans and communication talismans. How should he put it? Drawing low-grade spirit stones was certainly a loss, but both the thunderfire and communication talismans were a gain. Moreover, the thunderfire talismans he drew were not all of common quality. Among them were several of superior and exceptional grade. Immortal-grade items were the rarest, and he had drawn 2 after 500 attempts. Just now, he had used one to strike down that little boss hiding in the shadows. Additionally, he had acquired an exquisite magical artifact, the Su Xian sword. He had no idea how much an exquisite magical artifact could fetch, but since it was not available in the Qi refinement shop, it must be a weapon commonly used by foundation-building cultivators. Surely, he had profited quite a bit, right? However, this was not the time to dwell on such matters. Chen Huai'an's expression grew solemn as he examined Li Qingran's body. Status: excessive blood loss, on the brink of death, remaining lifespan, a fleeting moment, affection level, 35 The game character was gravely injured, and according to the standard procedure, he should administer medicine first. Chen Huai'an opened Li Qingran's storage ring and brought forth an immortal-grade great recovery pill to her lips. Yet, he received the following prompt. Your electronic girlfriend Li Qingran is severely wounded and on the brink of death, unable to autonomously swallow the great recovery pill. Administration failed. How fittingly aligned with the logic of reality and subjective agency. Chen Huai'an mused, is this game designed to be so hardcore? As if it were an examination for civil service? Chapter 16. Just want to stick something. This chapter is exclusively sponsored by Tanya. When the purchased items were rendered useless, there was no choice but to contact customer service. Chen Huai'an directly initiated a heavenly calculation, today's first free attempt. How could he aid Li Qingran in recovering from her injuries? Calculating heavenly mechanism for you. Boom. The Cangyun Realm underwent a sudden upheaval. Countless old monsters from various sects were jolted awake from their meditative states. Alas, in less than 2 days, which great power was once again engaging in heavenly calculations. I fear we have encountered a master of divination. Could it be the venerable ancestor of the Ancient Yinzhai? Alas, the spiritual energy of the Cangyun Realm is dwindling, and these formidable beings are growing anxious. We should retreat and diligently cultivate, striving to break through our current impasse. Evade. Should our secrets be unearthed by the forces of darkness, it would jeopardize our plans. The divination is complete. You may utilize transmission of skill and meditation in golden needle acupuncture to heal Li Qingran. The former has a modest effect, capable of restoring 30% of injuries, while the latter is exceedingly potent, fully healing all injuries except for the dantian and spiritual roots. Electronic Girlfriend Shop has captured a glimpse of celestial secrets for you. Would you care to spend $99.98 in the shop to acquire the golden needle acupuncture loss technique? Upon purchase, this skill will become a permanent feature, allowing for upgrades, with only the cost of the golden needle materials incurred for each use. Chen Huai'an. I can't endure this. The shop has begun to seize heavenly insights. Will even the toilet and bathtub start capturing celestial secrets next? Not to mention spending $99.98 for a skill. Of course, upgrading will require further expenditure. But must I also pay for the materials of the golden needles? Does this game regard its players as mere commodities? Yet, gazing at Li Qingran in the pool of blood, Chen Huai'an couldn't help but recall his deceased parents. His family was average, but his parents always endeavored to provide him with the best resources. Now, he could finally relate to some of their sentiments. Charge. Congratulations. You have acquired the lost technique. Golden needle acupuncture. Skill. Flowing cloud hands. Activated. Skill. Spring needle technique LV1. Activated. Spring needle material required. 64 silver needles, totaling 640. Please recharge first. Chen Huai'an clenched his fists, gritting his teeth. Is it not possible to spare even a fraction? Please recharge first. You've got to be kidding. Charge. This game is indeed insatiable, yet he cannot abandon Li Qingran. Another 640 vanished from his wallet. The skill is learned, and the materials are acquired. What should be done next? Please help Li Qingran remove her clothing. Chen Huai'an was taken aback, slowly typing out a question mark. Finally, is it about to begin? No, this is not the time to contemplate such matters. Saving a life is far more pressing. Who called 120? Who requires medical attention? An ambulance arrived, and doctors and nurses descended from the vehicle. Zhang Rui pointed at Chen Huai'an, who was engrossed in his phone, his eyes gleaming. What is wrong with him? The doctor momentarily failed to perceive any issue with Chen Huai'an. He is in the late stages of cancer, suffering from bone cancer, with a malignant tumor, and he fractured his leg while climbing Mount Tai. Late-stage bone cancer, and a leg fracture while climbing Mount Tai? The doctor's eyelid twitched. Is this even Mandarin? How did these words come together so bizarrely? He instinctively assumed Zhang Rui was joking, for this young man was sitting there, absorbed in his phone, hardly resembling someone with a fracture. Shouldn't someone with a fracture be clutching their leg, pale and wailing? Let alone having late-stage bone cancer. He might as well be one of the Shaolin Temple's 18 bronze men, impervious to pain. However, adhering to a spirit of empirical investigation, he lifted Chen Huai'an's leg from the chair, tore open the pant leg, and his expression immediately shifted. Hurry, bring down the stretcher. This young man's leg is undoubtedly fractured. Multiple subcutaneous cysts are visibly present, indicative of osteosarcoma. His calf has severely deformed, with a pronounced bulge at the fracture site. Dark purple and swollen, filled with bruised blood. If not properly addressed, this young man's leg may be irretrievably lost. Yet, with so many osteosarcomas already developed, it seems preservation was never truly an option. The doctor assisted Chen Huai'an onto the stretcher, who appeared somewhat dazed. It was the first time he had encountered such a composed patient. It was as if the emperor was calm while his attendants were in a flurry. But why? My friend, are you still engrossed in your phone? Zhang Rui gazed incredulously at Chen Huai'an, who was still holding his phone aloft on the stretcher. What game could be so captivating? However, from Zhang Rui's vantage point, Chen Huai'an's screen was entirely dark. Could this fellow possibly be suffering from a mental disorder? As he watched the ambulance fade into the distance, Zhang Rui returned the borrowed power bank to the charging station at the nearby supermarket, increasingly convinced of the possibility. A mental illness might explain why he was indifferent to pain and death, rendering his erratic behavior comprehensible. So, had he indeed spoken so many impolite words to someone in the advanced stages of cancer, compounded by mental issues? Lost in thought, Zhang Rui slapped himself across the face. I truly deserve this. Inside the ambulance, two nurses observed Chen Huai'an, who was intently tapping away at his phone, their expressions bemused. They could not fathom what was so compelling about a completely black screen. Yet, from Chen Huai'an's perspective, he was administering acupuncture to Li Qingran. His clothing had been loosened, nearly entirely removed. He pressed the phone against his face to avoid any awkwardness, not for any other reason. Moreover, gazing at the myriad of injuries on Li Qingran's body, he had no lewd thoughts, nor the time to dwell upon any private areas. Furthermore, to aid in his acupuncture, the game displayed a comprehensive chart of acupoints covering Li Qingran's entire body, with points visibly pulsing on the skin. Wherever the acupoint illuminated, that was where he needed to apply the needle. Even the private areas were obscured by the acupoint chart. Even if they weren't, Chen Huai'an had no time to look. The speed at which the acupoints lit up was reminiscent of the S-level difficulty from years past in Dance Dance Revolution. He had to focus intently to keep pace. Young man, how long have you been suffering from cancer? Do you have medical records? Which hospital conducted your previous examinations? Alas, your leg is in a dire state. Sir. The nurse was becoming slightly irritated. They had already arrived at the hospital and were in the ward, yet this fellow was still glued to his phone. Despite appearing quite handsome and not foolish, she waved her hand in front of Chen Huai'an's face. The doctor is speaking to you. Chen Huai'an quickly tilted his head to evade her hand, not raising his gaze, nervously replying, I'm still busy here. Please wait a moment. The doctor thought to himself, this young man is rather polite. He exchanged a glance with the nurse, gesturing towards Chen Huai'an and then his own head, whispering, you go take care of his admission paperwork. I'll call Dr. Wu from the psychiatry department. Let us have him examined first when Dr. Wu arrives. As soon as the doctor and nurse departed, Chen Huai'an completed his acupuncture. As the last silver needle pierced through, a twist in a clockwise direction ensued. Instantly, a stream of pure energy began to rise from the 64 silver needles. Following this, Chen Huai'an observed as the wounds on Li Qingran's body, still oozing blood, abruptly ceased bleeding, and the wounds gradually began to heal. Please grind the immortal grade Dan medicine into powder and sprinkle it over Li Qingran's wounds. A stone mill appeared in the scene, and Chen Huai'an proceeded step by step to follow the instructions. He then witnessed the once bleeding wounds rapidly sprout flesh. And in no time, they were completely healed, leaving no trace behind. Phew. Finally, it was done. Chen Huai'an let out a sigh of relief. Glancing at Li Qingran's condition, he noted she had escaped the clutches of death but remained in a deep slumber, requiring time to awaken. Now it was time. Mobile battery low. Just as he was about to admire Li Qingran's exquisite figure, his phone screen went completely black. No, my friend. He had already taken out the tissue. Chen Huai'an stood there, frozen for a good half-minute, gritting his teeth. Where was the power bank he borrowed from Li Shan? At that moment, he realized something was amiss. It seemed he was no longer at the base of Li Shan. Looking around, he was instantly bewildered. When did I end up in the hospital? Did I just teleport? A voice, frail and hoarse, interrupted his thoughts. Young man, keep it down. This old man is trying to sleep. Turning to the side, Chen Huai'an saw an elderly man on the adjacent bed, his leg bound in bandages, his complexion unwell, sporting dark circles under his eyes. Likely due to a night of pain-induced insomnia, and now he was only just beginning to feel drowsy. Chen Huai'an quickly quieted himself. However, when his gaze fell upon the small cart beside the old man's bed, his eyes widened in fascination. There lay a set of silver needles. He flexed his fingers, feeling an intense itch. The tantalizing urge to prick something. Chapter 17. Could it be that Chen Huai'an is a genius? Indeed, this overwhelming sensation was no mere illusion. It even rendered Chen Huai'an unable to restrain his wicked hand. He seized the set of silver needles. Casting a glance at the old man, a sinister smile crept across his face, embodying a mixture of recklessness, lewdness, arrogance, nonchalance, and an overwhelming eagerness. He then opened the needle case. Inside lay 36 silver needles. His fingers glided over the needle tips, and a familiar sensation surged within him, akin to caressing a girlfriend's fingers. My apologies. Chen Huai'an silently clasped his hands in respect toward the old man. Then, he picked up one of the silver needles and, with a swift motion, pierced it into his own leg. using a needle that had been employed by another on himself. Wasn't this a form of betrayal? This was his profound apology to the old man and the needle. As for why he didn't prick the old man, was he out of his mind? He merely felt a spark of curiosity and interest. He would never irresponsibly stab someone else. Inflicting pain upon himself bore no psychological burden. Especially since he was on the brink of death, he was willing to experiment with anything. His gaze fell upon his leg, and before him, the meridian points emerged, subtly aligning with the acupuncture chart from the game. His fingers moved with the swiftness of lightning, the insertion of needles reminiscent of clouds gliding across water. In the blink of an eye, 36 needles adorned his right leg. Chen Huai'an took a deep breath, holding it in. One by one, he adjusted the depth, rotating the silver needles to stimulate the acupoints on his leg. His hands, usually tremulous even when grasping a bottle of water, were astonishingly steady in this moment. After a brief interval, the acupuncture was complete. Chen Huai'an retracted the needles and returned them to their case. The irritating sensation had finally dissipated, leaving an exquisite comfort in its wake. He rubbed his hands together, feeling a sense of fulfillment. The fracture was in his right leg, and he had indeed treated that very limb. At this moment, the bruising on his leg showed signs of subsiding, though the bone remained twisted. However, a fracture itself is not an exceedingly grave issue. The crucial factor lies in the management of the soft tissue contusions that follow. Alleviating the bruising is of paramount importance. In under 10 minutes of needling, he observed a remarkable reduction in swelling and hematoma, leaving Chen Huai'an in disbelief. This game is truly hardcore. Is it genuinely possible to learn something? Yet, it is certain that not everyone can grasp it. Who could replicate the needling technique and the acupoint map as he had after just one attempt? His memory had never been so sharp before. Quite peculiar. After pondering for a moment, a light seemed to dawn upon him as he clapped his hands in realization. So that's it. I understand now, ha ha ha. Outside the ward, Dr. Wu and Dr. Zhang approached, still discussing Chen Huai'an's case. This young man is a university student with no history of mental illness. Are you certain there is something wrong with his mind? Dr. Wu, having reviewed Chen Huai'an's records, expressed skepticism regarding Dr. Zhang's assessment. Amidst laughter, Chen Huai'an's voice could be heard in the ward, suppressing his eccentric chuckles. Ah, it's cancer. The mysterious cancer cells have activated my genetic lock. I am truly a genius. Dr. Zhang shrugged, tilting his head slightly toward the ward. Dr. Wu remarked. It seems this young man may have experienced some form of stimulation after climbing Mount Tai and witnessing a mirage. Indeed, medical intervention may be required. He entered the ward. Addressing the young man, Doctor, I am not ill. I wish to be discharged. Or do you have a power bank? If so, I might stay a little longer. Doctor. Wu regarded the earnest young man on the bed, contemplating whether an increase in dosage was warranted. Meanwhile, Dr. Zhang noticed Chen Huai'an's leg and was taken aback. Oh? How is your leg better? He recalled vividly that when he first sought Dr. Wu's assistance, the area of the fracture was severely swollen, with the worst part turning black, reaching a state where neglect would lead to necrosis. Yet now, the swelling had notably diminished, and the bruising was considerably less severe. Chen Huai'an noticed the doctor's gaze, feeling a twinge of guilt as he withdrew his foot, awkwardly chuckling. I've always been quite resilient. I possess a slight natural talent for self-recovery. It would be preposterous to claim that the bruising was alleviated by the secretive art of acupuncture. Even if he spoke the truth, no one would believe it, and it would only invite a host of troubles. As for performing an acupuncture demonstration for the two doctors, that was utterly absurd. The elderly gentleman beside him is indeed an exceptional subject, yet before he could make a move, he might find himself confined to a psychiatric ward. Moreover, he lacks certainty. What is effective for self-administering does not necessarily translate to treating others. In today's society, even assisting someone across the street requires contemplation about one's own resources, let alone wielding a set of needles. Dr. Zhang pondered for a considerable time, but could not deduce a rationale. He could only conclude that the osteosarcoma on Chen Huai'an's foot had not vanished. Should it disappear, he would truly need to devise a method to retain Chen Huai'an and report the matter to his superiors. Young man, you must seek a remedy for your cancer. Neglecting it could prove detrimental, he stated. I comprehend the rationale, yet I lack funds, Chen Huai'an replied with a smile. Did you not purchase insurance? No. What of your parents? They have passed. A sigh escaped Dr. Zhang's lips, and he fell silent, his questions leading him into a contemplative quietude. As a physician with decades of experience, he had encountered numerous cases akin to Chen Huai'an's, individuals with nothing, merely awaiting their fate. However, few possessed Chen Huai'an's remarkable indifference. Doctor, I am fully aware of my situation. I have no surplus funds. Please manage my treatment as you would for a standard fracture. Dr. Zhang nodded, but added, if you require assistance with fundraising, do not hesitate to inform me. Perhaps I can extend a helping hand. Thank you. If I can earn some money, I will certainly seek proper treatment. Throughout the conversation between Chen Huai'an and Dr. Zhang, Wu Bin observed intently. He discerned that this young man was articulate. With a bright gaze, he bore no signs of mental distress, merely a touch of youthful exuberance. That was a close call. I nearly resorted to using a tranquilizer. A false alarm. Chen Huai'an remained at the hospital until the afternoon. After undergoing surgery for his fractured right leg, a plaster cast was applied. The doctor's recommendation was for him to remain hospitalized for observation, yet he declined, citing his lack of funds. Before departing, he purchased a set of silver needles from the pharmacy adjacent to the hospital. Upon exiting the hospital, Chen Huai'an resembled a famished wolf, his eager gaze scanning the shops around him. He craved a power bank. Having abstained from gaming all afternoon, he feared the distress of his character, Li Qingran, being attacked by monstrous beasts in his absence. Furthermore, having invested nearly 60,000 into the game, the thought of losing his character would infuriate him to the point of contemplating a leap from the second floor of the hospital. Release that power bank, he shouted, seizing the last available one from the charging station amidst the terrified gaze of a female student. Powering it on, he launched the game, exhaling in relief upon discovering that Li Qingran remained safely unconscious within the Xuanjiao array, balancing the power bank in his mouth. One hand supporting himself with a cane and the other clutching his phone, he approached a table at the restaurant, where he requested, "Boss, 3 portions of assorted dishes. Coming right up. Would you like a fried egg?" "No, but I do want noodle soup." "Understood. A fried egg costs 3 yuan. Not having that. The noodle soup is complimentary, so I'll take that." Li Qingran lay in a state of unconsciousness, which was momentarily disregarded as he opened the lottery pool of his fateful koi. He was still 500 draws away from the guaranteed prize. "Oh, it seems I am not destined to be a lucky one." Chen Huai'an let out a cold snort, and with the prompt of the payment system, he tapped to draw. Without hesitation, he went all in. Chapter 18. This is a crucial item. Li Qingran found herself in a dream. In this dream, she was relentlessly pursued by countless demonic beasts, surrounded by an impenetrable darkness that enveloped her like a tide. Just as the beasts were about to catch up to her, a melodious thunder crackled through the air. A young man, dressed in peculiar attire, materialized on the horizon. With a flourish of his left hand, he summoned a talisman, and with a sweep of his right, he wielded a magical artifact. The demonic beasts chasing her either succumbed to the lightning from the talisman or were pierced by the falling artifact from above. Is that a senior? Li Qingran gazed skyward, her intuition telling her that this figure was indeed a rescuer. Although his face remained obscured, he appeared far younger than she had anticipated. Before she could examine him closely, he had already flashed before her. A surge of panic coursed through her, and a blush crept to her ears as she instinctively bent to pay her respects. In the next moment, a pair of strong hands caught her, and the stranger placed a square object into her palm. It was pitch black, resembling a brick, albeit lighter in weight, with 3 simplified characters inscribed upon it, seemingly reading electric satisfaction. What is electric satisfaction? Is it some sort of magical treasure? As she pondered, the figure before her began to fade, dissipating like mist. "Senior, I am eternally grateful to you. This is a crucial item." The voice of the senior echoed from the retreating haze. "You must safeguard it. This must be it. Electric satisfaction. The name alone inspires confidence." Chen Huai'an clicked to place the order. He could not afford the 3 yuan fried egg, but the 300 yuan power bank was a worthy investment. After the recent ordeal, he had developed a certain trepidation and resolved to carry a power bank at all times, ensuring he purchased one with ample capacity. He had considered whether to change his phone, but would that facilitate the transfer of the game electronic girlfriend? This was a virus program devoid of an installation package, leaving him utterly bewildered on how to proceed. Glancing at the computer clock, he noted it was already 9 in the evening. Over an hour had passed since he returned home. Li Qingran should have awakened by now. As he opened the electronic girlfriend game, he indeed found that Li Qingran had regained consciousness. The young lady was huddled in a corner, wrapped in tattered clothing, her arms wrapped around her knees, staring vacantly at the ground, lost in thought. Chen Huai'an noticed a half-burned incense stick beside her. "Your electronic girlfriend Li Qingran's dwelling has been destroyed. Recharge 6 yuan to restore it." Without a flicker of hesitation, Chen Huai'an replied, "Recharge. Recharging 88 will allow you to bestow upon your electronic girlfriend 2 sets of uniquely styled garments. Recharge. Your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran, is feeling famished and despondent. A recharge of 68 will. Recharge." The house was instantly transformed, new clothes cascading onto the bed, while an assortment of poultry, fish, and fruits clattered onto the table in a raucous symphony. The commotion was so significant that it would be impossible for Li Qingran not to notice. She was aware that her senior had come to visit her. In truth, she knew that her senior had been there before. After all, the numerous craters surrounding the small abode, the charred remains of beastly corpses, and her own healed wounds all bore testament to this fact. The sudden appearance of the beast horde was indeed suspicious. She had taken advantage of the lingering embers of lightning to scout around her dwelling, only to discover beneath a tree the severed remnants of a frenzied beast's bait. This bait was a commonly utilized tool for hunting demons across various sects, albeit each sect had its own variant. For instance, the frenzied beast's bait from the Cangyun sect bore azure cloud patterns at its base. These azure motifs were essential markings carved from a specific material, for if they were removed, the bait's efficacy would be significantly diminished. Given the perilous nature of such items, it is only prudent for the major sects to ensure proper identification to avoid wrongful accusations. The one who cast the bait may have presumed it would be consumed entirely, leaving naught but ash. Little did they anticipate that a senior would arrive midway, cleaving the vicinity into a barren wasteland. The individual did not come to claim her life. Presumably, they too were reduced to dust. Senior. Li Qingran gazed at the ceiling, exhaustion etched upon her face, her parched lips parting slightly, resembling a flower on the brink of wilting. Do you think I am truly a loathsome person? Huh. I could not possibly think that. I am quite fond of you, came the voice of Chen Huai'an, who had just chosen free dialogue in the first chat box. Having just drawn from the koi pool, he now possessed over 70 sound transmission talismans, his confidence swelling. Clearing his throat, he pressed the talisman and spoke in a gentle tone. How could that be? In my eyes, Ching Ran is a remarkably polite and considerate girl, diligent in her cultivation. Why do you harbor such thoughts? The above was Chen Huai'an's roughly 300-word essay. Yet, what Li Qingran heard was an authoritative voice echoing with gravitas. What prompts such words? If not, then why do the people of the Cangyun sect, my seniors, and my master, persist in trying to bring about my demise? My dantian and spirit roots have been rendered useless. I have been expelled from the sect and cast into the Wanchuan mountains to fend for myself. Why do they still refuse to let me go? Have I committed some unspeakable sin? Chen Huai'an observed the gradual dimming of Li Qingran's once clear eyes, now shrouded in a veil of darkness. He could profoundly empathize with her doubts. From Li Qingran's history, it was evident that she embodied the essence of a self-sacrificing persona. A modicum of kindness would compel her to reciprocate 100-fold. Even without formal guidance, she had always regarded the Qingxian Taoist as her most esteemed elder. Master brother Lu Changtian offered her guidance upon her initiation, and she regarded him as her elder brother. Second brother Xiao Yifeng gifted her the medicinal pills he seldom used, and in return, she assisted him in tending to spiritual herbs, serving as his test subject. Third brother Yun Zimo presented her with a storage ring. Thus, when he was falsely accused and framed, she remained silent and was expelled from the sect. Fourth brother Zhang Hanxiao aided her during a mission, and she devoted most of her monthly spirit stone allocation to resolving the troubles he had caused. She blossomed vibrantly with the slightest touch of sunlight, maintaining a smiling visage even when battered by tempestuous storms. Yet, beneath that smiling facade likely lay a tear-streaked countenance marred by countless wounds. Kind souls often fall prey to the wicked. Gentle steeds may be ridden, and sometimes such observations are not mere jest but the wisdom of our ancestors. Much like how he selflessly bestowed all his affection upon his former lover, only to be met with betrayal and humiliation. Such occurrences are far too numerous. The cherished goddess, tenderly nurtured, finds herself in a cheap hotel, exploited. The flowers cultivated with utmost devotion bloom on another's balcony. Enmity arises, daggers are thrust from behind. Increasingly, individuals seek solace in the companionship of pets and virtual characters, willingly investing their finances, time, and energy. Are they foolish? No, they simply yearn to evade further harm. Humanity should possess a fiery spirit. We are not mere playthings to be carelessly discarded. One day, that heart, riddled with scars, will be gently cradled by another. Li Qingran. Chen Huai'an gazed at Li Qingran. Though separated by a screen, their eyes seemed to transcend countless realms and intertwine. He stared into her eyes, which reflected his very essence. Today, I shall assist you in restoring your dantian. The grand voice of the Tao did not omit Chen Huai'an's words, but conveyed them in full. Even if your past is a mire, your future shall undoubtedly flourish in resplendence. Chapter 19. The Emergence of Divine Medicine. Cangyun Sect, atop Qishao Peak. Taoist Qingxian emerged from seclusion once a week to impart teachings, each session lasting 2 hours. Following his discourse, he allocated an additional hour to address the questions his disciples encountered during their cultivation journeys. At that moment, disciples gathered beneath a venerable pine tree, whose age was unfathomable. The teaching had concluded, and it was now the time for inquiry. Lu Changtian was the first to rise, bowing deeply before addressing the figure in azure beneath the ancient pine. Master, I have heard that the sect leader's direct disciple, Zhao Lingtian, suffered a shattered dantian during a battle with demonic cultivators, and now the sect leader is troubled over the costly endeavor to restore Zhao Lingtian's dantian. Is there truly no means to mend it? Upon the utterance of this question, the expressions of several others beneath the pine varied. After all, the one with a broken dantian was not solely the sect leader's direct disciple, Zhao Lingtian. It also included their former fifth sister, Li Qingran. Upon hearing this, the Taoist Qing Xian slightly opened his closed eyes, stroked his beard, and spoke in a calm tone. The dantian is not beyond repair. It merely requires a rare, ancient divine herb. With this herb, even if the dantian is lost, it can be restored. Without it, the task is as daunting as climbing to the heavens. Dare I inquire, Master, what is this divine herb? The Hunyuan Buxiandan. The Taoist Qing Xian enunciated each word distinctly. The crowd exchanged glances, feeling a tremor in their hearts merely at the mention of its name. Such a treasure. The Taoist continued eloquently. From the moment all beings are born, their dantian is predetermined. It is fate. Each individual's dantian possesses varying qualities, influencing the capacity and purity of spiritual energy they can harbor. In terms of cultivating immortal abilities, the impact of the dantian is not as pronounced as that of the spiritual root. However, as one advances in cultivation, when two practitioners of equal cultivation and spiritual root prowess engage in battle, the disparity in dantian quality becomes evident. In ancient times, when spiritual energy was abundant, the great beings categorized dantians into 9 grades, the 9th grade being the lowest and the 1st grade the highest. A 1st grade dantian can absorb vast amounts of energy, refining it at an astonishing rate and transforming it into exceptionally pure spiritual essence. In those days, merely observing a dantian could determine how far a practitioner could ultimately go, and sects placed great emphasis on the quality of their disciples' dantians. Then, Master, what grade is my dantian? Zhang Hanxiao stepped forward, confidently patting his abdomen. He believed his dantian to be quite commendable, with a rapid cultivation speed and relatively robust spiritual energy. Yet, the Taoist Qing Xian merely shot him a sidelong glance and scoffed. You? Not even a grade. Laughter erupted beneath the ancient pines. Zhang Hanxiao's face darkened instantly, wishing he could find a crevice to hide within. But the Taoist Qing Xian continued. What are you laughing at? Most of you are also ungraded. Only Lu Changtian's dantian can barely be considered as 7th grade. In the era of abundant spiritual energy, you would only qualify to serve as menial laborers in the outer sect, cleaning up after the sect's guardian beasts. It is only due to the current depletion of spiritual energy in the Cangyun Realm, with declining quality, that the influence of the dantian on cultivation and combat power has become less significant than that of the spiritual roots and external factors. Thus, you have gained the qualification to become inner disciples or direct apprentices. The laughter ceased, and the faces of the crowd paled. With just a few words, the Taoist Qing Xian had dispirited all the disciples present. He then steered the conversation back. The dantian of a practitioner is predetermined. Once shattered, it cannot be restored. Much like spilled water that cannot be gathered again. However, there exists a thread of change within the cosmic order. In ancient times, a certain alchemist extracted a line of variability from the repairing heaven stone, unraveling the mysteries of the heavens to refine the Hunyuan Buxiandan. This divine herb can transform the predetermined fate of the dantian into a variable. Not only can it restore the dantian, but it can also enhance its quality further. And this is merely the effect of the mortal grade Hunyuan Buxiandan. As for the efficacy of the immortal grade, only that ancient alchemist could possibly know. Upon the conclusion of the Taoist's words, the crowd displayed expressions of longing. If they could procure a Hunyuan Buxiandan now and present it to the sect leader, perhaps they would never again have to worry about cultivation resources for the rest of their lives. Next month, a small ancient secret realm will be opened in the Middle Continent. Not only will there be a battlefield of demonic beasts, but it is also rumored that the cave dwelling of an ancient cultivator may be found within, potentially leading to the discovery of a divine herb. Lu Changtian's spirit was invigorated. According to Taoist Qing Xian, his dantian is currently at the 7th rank. If he were to obtain a primordial restoration pill, his dantian could very well ascend to the 6th or even 5th rank. You may take a chance, Taoist Qing Xian nodded. In truth, he was somewhat skeptical. The primordial restoration pill was a rare treasure even in ancient times, so how could it possibly appear in a small secret realm? Nevertheless, entering the secret realm would indeed provide valuable experience and resources, so he refrained from dampening the enthusiasm of his disciples. Today's lecture ends here. Return to your cave dwellings. With a wave of his sleeve, Taoist Qing Xian signaled for his disciples to disperse. However, at that moment, a resounding boom echoed. A beam of azure light surged forth from an unknown source, piercing the heavens and dispersing the clouds above Wanshan. The azure light continued to ascend, reaching towards the celestial realm like a divine pillar. Cultivators throughout the Cangyun Realm gazed upward in astonishment, their expressions shifting dramatically. A spirit light manifesting as a pillar. The fragrance of herbs ascending to the heavens. This signifies the emergence of a divine pill. It is in the direction of Wanshan. Let us hurry. Perhaps we can still make it. They speculated on the nature of the divine pill, convinced that acquiring it would lead to a significant breakthrough in their cultivation. Atop Qishao Peak, Daoist Qingshuan's narrowed eyes abruptly widened. In the next moment, he soared into the air, racing towards the direction of the azure light. Simultaneously, several other prominent peaks of the Qingyun sect witnessed great cultivators take flight. Surrounding Wanshan, every cultivator of any repute was mobilized. The emergence of the celestial-grade primordial restoration pill will undoubtedly cause a stir in all directions. Should one invest 18 to conceal the heavenly secrets? Chen Huai'an grimaced at the notification on his phone screen. It was undeniable. The celestial phenomenon was too apparent, practically announcing to those nearby that treasures awaited. The map quickly filled with numerous red dots, and more continued to illuminate, sending shivers down his spine. Fortunately, considering he had already spent 90,000. The game developers seemed to refrain from further pressuring him to invest. Yet, he still felt a sense of discontent. Why could the function to conceal heavenly secrets not be given freely? Through gritted teeth, Chen Huai'an begrudgingly spent 18. Concealing heavenly secrets. The azure light column vanished without a trace, and even the fragrant aroma of herbs dissipated in an instant. Daoist Qingxian, who had been the first to approach, hovered in the air, bewildered. His spiritual sense swept over several miles like a tidal wave, yet he uncovered nothing. Wasn't that Li Qingran? As his awareness swept past a small chamber, Daoist Qingxian recognized it was his former fifth disciple. He recalled that after being expelled from Qishao Peak, Li Qingran had been cast out of the sect entirely. Zhang Hanxiao had claimed to send Li Qingran down the mountain to return to the mundane world. Why was he still lingering in Wanshan? Was he courting death? Did he think that by staying in Wanshan, he could return to the sect? Daoist Qingxian shook his head with a cold smile, frustrated at not finding the divine herb. He had no desire to concern himself with Li Qingran. After searching around with no results, he could only return to Qingyun sect, burdened by confusion and discontent. Within the depths of Wanqing Mountain, the emergence of a miraculous elixir is inevitable. However, the sudden disappearance of its celestial manifestation can only suggest two possibilities. Either the divine medicine has been taken away, or its heavenly secrets have been concealed. Regardless of which scenario is true, the cultivator responsible for this situation is beyond his reach. Might I implore you, esteemed senior, for a moment of your time? I dare to request your benevolence in providing me with a remedy to restore my Dantian. I am willing to exchange any resource for it. Wu Duantian, the leader of Qingyun sect, bowed deeply before Wanqing Mountain. Should a powerful being be present to refine such an elixir, it is conceivable that they possess the means to procure a remedy for repairing the Dantian. This would allow his cherished disciple to receive the healing they desperately need. Yet, after a prolonged wait, the vast mountain remained silent, devoid of any response. Alas, Wu Duantian sighed heavily, his countenance pale, resigned to return home. The eminent cultivators who understood the situation had already departed. Only a handful of wandering practitioners and those with limited experience lingered in Wanqing Mountain, hoping for a stroke of luck. Unbeknownst to them, the astonishing elixir that had shocked the entire Cangyun Realm now lay innocuously upon an unremarkable wooden table, where a frightened girl huddled in a corner, stunned into silence. Chapter 20. A Vow to Heaven Elder, what is this? Li Qingran gasped as she heard Chen Huai'an offer to help her restore her Dantian. Initially taken aback, she then noticed something being placed upon the table, and an overwhelming azure light enveloped the room, accompanied by the rich aroma of medicinal herbs. Just a single inhalation seemed to accelerate the flow of spiritual energy within her. This is the elixir capable of restoring your Dantian. Chen Huai'an refrained from disclosing the name of the medicine, understanding its exorbitant value. In his eyes, Li Qingran resembled a highly intelligent AI. Achieving such a feat is not beyond the current capabilities of AI, requiring merely an ample flow of data for training. Given that the game developer is a skilled hacker, creating a highly intelligent AI model is hardly a challenge. Although advanced AI differs from humans, it can still simulate human emotions through data flow. If you were to simply inform Li Qingran that this is a Hongyuan Butian Dan, she would certainly not accept it. An elixir for Dantian restoration? Li Qingran had never heard of such a remedy. She only knew that once a Dantian is shattered, restoration is nearly impossible. Even if it were feasible, the methods involved are undoubtedly beyond the reach of a mere qi refinement stage practitioner like herself. Moreover, the commotion caused by the mere appearance of this elixir suggests its great rarity. Esteemed senior, This elixir is far too precious. I cannot accept it, Li Qingran stated firmly. While she yearned to restore her dantian, she felt overwhelmed by the generosity she had already received from her elder, unable to reciprocate in kind. This imbalance weighed heavily on her conscience. Take it. You must accept it. Chen Huai'an pressed on with the transmission talisman, inwardly acknowledging the AI's adeptness in character simulation. In another game, even in a nurturing type, she would likely have accepted without hesitation. He continued, this elixir was specifically prepared for you. It holds no value for me. Please, accept it, or else those individuals will come to seize it. Chen Huai'an rambled on endlessly. What Li Qingran heard was, this item is of no use to me. The recent commotion has already drawn the attention of other cultivators, and I cannot conceal the heavenly secrets for long. If you do not consume it now, you are merely inviting trouble for me. Li Qingran gazed at the ceiling, her eyes falling upon the primordial restoration pill on the table, biting her lower lip in a state of inner turmoil. To ingest the pill would fill her with guilt, while to refuse it would mean creating trouble for her senior. Hurry! A stern voice thundered from above. Li Qingran trembled in fright. Ultimately, she chose to breach her own principles rather than provoke her senior's ire. She did not wish to anger him. Chen Huai'an watched as the young girl cautiously lifted the pill from the table, a sly smile curling at the corners of his mouth. She would inevitably have to consume it. He noticed that being constantly referred to as senior by Li Qingran had begun to inflate his ego. From now on, he would refer to himself as the esteemed one, fitting the occasion. If you do not take this pill, I would have wasted 90,000 coins. In the urgency of the moment, he had not even had the chance to discern what treasures he had drawn from the previous 500 pulls. Li Qingran held the pill, and despite having crossed her own boundaries, she resolved to find a way to make amends. Staring at the ceiling, she raised one hand. 3 fingers extended to represent the trinity of heaven, earth, and humanity, and declared aloud, today, as a junior, I, Ching Ran, have received the assistance of my senior to obtain this miraculous medicine to restore my dantian. My heart is filled with shame for my inability to repay you. Should you ever require my aid, even if it means traversing mountains of blades or seas of fire, I shall not hesitate to give my all. Li Qingran vowed not only to the heavens, but also to her own heart. Each word resonated with sincerity, evoking a response from the heavens. The surrounding spiritual energy surged, lifting her dark tresses wildly, revealing her resolute gaze. Once the vow was uttered, she felt no more burden, and with both hands, she raised the pill and consumed it. She had entrusted herself to her senior. This was all she could offer. The celestial-grade primordial restoration pill melted upon entry, transforming into a stream of pure energy that surged towards Li Qingran's shattered dantian. From Chen Huai'an's perspective, a golden thread danced towards her lower abdomen, while the entire room began to whirl around her, spiraling in a vortex that grew larger, eventually extending outside the small house to form a tornado that connected to the heavens. Is this the spiritual energy whirlwind? Chen Huai'an pondered. Given the game's setting in the realm of cultivation, Li Qingran's current state must signify an influx of substantial spiritual energy, serving as the fuel for the primordial restoration pill's efficacy. By the way, isn't this commotion quite significant? Do we really not need to conceal it? The spiritual energy whirlwind stirred the clouds above into a gaping hole. The red dots on the map, resembling headless flies, began to converge towards this location as if they had found their way home. Li Qingran has consumed the celestial-grade primordial restoration pill, which will continue to provoke celestial phenomena. Would you like to recharge 28 to conceal her heavenly secrets? You must be joking. Chen Huai'an found himself both amused and exasperated. Is this a slow squeeze of toothpaste? Could they not be more straightforward? Despite his disdain for the game's recharge system, he resignedly spent 28 coins. In the vast expanse of the mountains, there arose a tumultuous surge of spiritual energy, heralding the emergence of a divine elixir. With a hearty laugh, an elder proclaimed his aspirations of ascension. Yet, abruptly, the spiraling vortex of spiritual energy dissipated as if snuffed out by an unseen giant hand, leaving the treasure-seeking cultivators in a state of bewilderment. By the heavens, where did it go? They exclaimed, incredulous and frustrated. Are we being toyed with? Never mind. Let us search in that direction and leave no stone unturned, even if it means inspecting the most trivial of things. Meanwhile, Chen Huai'an reveled in the sight of Li Qingran, who sat in serene meditation. She appeared tranquil, with strands of dark hair cascading over her shoulders, gently swaying in the flowing energy. Though her attire was simple, it harmonized beautifully with her elegant and unadorned demeanor. On ordinary days, her brows bore a hint of boldness. But now, with her eyes closed and brow slightly furrowed, her delicate lips pressed together, her pallid complexion exuded a touch of fragility, evoking a sense of tender affection. Chen Huai'an, a scholar of the sciences, lacked the flair for elaborate expressions. Nonetheless, he was willing to employ the most unembellished language to extol Li Qingran's beauty. Goodness, she is stunning, he thought, realizing he could no longer gaze upon her without losing his composure. He had drawn from the luck pool 1,000 times, and he had yet to review the spoils from the last 500 attempts. Opening his backpack, he noted that all 12 compartments were filled, from left to right. They contained low-grade spirit stones, mid-grade spirit stones, sound transmission talismans, and a variety of thunderfire talismans, a defensive array, an intermediate spirit-gathering formation, a plain string sword, and a golden jade slip. How vexing. Can't the thunderfire talismans occupy a single slot? Chen Huai'an fumed, frustrated that he could not distribute all the talismans to Li Qingran. After all, should she require assistance, he could not simply stand by. The most critical issue was that expanding the first slot of his backpack required a fee of 188. Never mind. I shall simply give her whatever I do not need later. His attention was drawn to the last item, a jade slip, golden in hue, immediately suggesting its exceptional quality. As he opened the golden jade slip, a formidable aura emanated from it. I, a madman of Chu, mock Confucius with my song, wielding a 3-foot sword that pierces the sorrowful heavens. The Qinglian Sword Classic, created by the Qinglian Sword Immortal, encompasses 36 foundational sword techniques and 12 sword forms. Classified as immortal grade, any who possesses a meridian can practice the Qinglian Sword Classic, but to reach the pinnacle, one must possess a sword bone, sword spirit root, and sword heart. None can be absent. Indeed, the item was of supreme quality. However, upon finishing the description, Chen Huai'an wore a peculiar expression. Could this Qinglian sword immortal be Li Bai? Wasn't he the immortal poet? When did he become a sword immortal? He shrugged off the thought, recognizing that in these times, such transformations were commonplace. Even Tang Sung wielded a Gatling gun, so why not Li Bai as a sword immortal? Shaking his head, he remembered that Li Qingran wielded a sword. The Qinglian Sword Classic would be an excellent fit for her. An immortal grade sword technique must surely be formidable. At this moment, the Qinglian Sword Manual had opened to its first page. Chen Huai'an initially believed it to be merely a gaming prop, only to discover that the first page was indeed inscribed with words and adorned with brush-painted figures. Astonishing. Is this truly a small workshop? How terrifying. Sword Technique 1. Crane Stance. Stand with legs together, bend the knees, and lift one foot, presenting a crane-like posture. Beginners may keep their legs down. Maintain an upright body, with the sword standing directly in front of you, parallel to your body. The sword handle should be horizontally aligned with the ground, while the blade remains close to the arm, keeping it vertical. Breathe steadily, calm your mind, and concentrate on the harmony between the sword and your breath. Accompanying illustrations elucidated the specific techniques of this sword chapter. Chen Huai'an continued to flip through the pages, discovering more. Sword Technique 2, Pawn Expansion, also included explanations and images. Sword Technique 3, Holding the Edge. Sword Technique 35, Returning to Unity. Sword Technique 36, Carefree, Skeptical. He persisted until the end, finding that each sword chapter was meticulously accompanied by detailed illustrations, with no hint of filler. Chen Huai'an was thoroughly impressed with the dedication and rigor of this game developer. The frustration from having been cheated out of so much money was somewhat alleviated at this moment. The 36 sword chapters appeared to lay the foundational skills. There were still 12 sword forms to explore. Just as he was about to turn the page, a prompt appeared on the screen. You have not yet learned sword techniques 1 to 12 and cannot read the sword forms. What is this? I have to learn? How am I supposed to learn? Chen Huai'an instinctively sought a recharge option, but found none. It seemed that the Qinglian Sword Manual was not upgraded through monetary transactions. Would you like to begin learning Sword Technique 1? Yes, think again without hesitation. Chen Huai'an selected yes. He was eager to see what this game entailed. Flipping the camera, the game screen vanished. The camera activated automatically, entering selfie video recording mode while the game window remained afloat on the screen. Please follow the instructions of the Qinglian Sword Manual, Sword Technique 1, Crane Stance, to begin practicing. Current progress, initial understanding. What? Wait a minute. Chen Huai'an stared at his reflection on the screen, his mouth twitching uncontrollably. If he wasn't mistaken, the game was instructing him to perform the crane stance right now. Wasn't it? And he had to record and upload it? Was this game seriously going to torment him without the option of spending money? Chen Huai'an felt that if he complied with the game's demands, he would truly be out of his mind. By the way, did the game's creator harbor some twisted sense of humor? Did they delight in watching players contort into various ridiculous poses while sitting back in the server, munching on takeout and laughing uproariously? I, Chen Huai'an, shall not allow such a person to succeed. With a cold snort, he discerned the developer's intentions. All he needed to do was refuse, and soon enough, the recharge button would appear. It was all a ruse. just like certain games that offer particularly grueling rewards, leading players to inevitably choose to spend money when they can no longer endure the grind. However, after waiting for what felt like an eternity, Chen Huai'an never saw the recharge button. TSK, can't I just hand this sword technique over to Li Qingran? He closed the page, dragging the Qinglian sword manual towards Li Qingran. You cannot directly impart the Qinglian sword classic to Li Qingran. Please first cultivate the 36 sword chapters of the Qinglian sword classic to the initial insight realm, and then the sword techniques will be available for teaching. Chen Huai'an was taken aback. What kind of absurdity is this? What sort of game is so rigid? In the upper right corner of the pop-up window, there is a circled question mark. In a moment of desperation, he clicked on it. Help. The original intention of this game is to provide players with the most authentic development experience. Players can provide resources and various forms of assistance to their electronic girlfriends, and can also act as their guides and emotional supports. However, one must be strong oneself to better teach the electronic girlfriend, so players are encouraged to strive for self-improvement. Upon reading this reminder, Chen Huai'an fell silent. His previous disinterest in watching others play games stemmed not only from the financial expenditure, but also from the lack of immersion. No matter how skilled a player's shooting might be, they are not the first assault soldier charging into a university, no matter how adept they are at jungling. They are not the king of the wilds. Games and reality are ultimately disparate. Yet, this electronic girlfriend game seemed to embrace a novel approach. It was innovative, yet it could easily falter in the current gaming industry. However, Chen Huai'an could not deny that he was intrigued. The sense of achievement from personally teaching an electronic girlfriend was compelling. Learning first, then guiding that innocent girl. Watching her overcome challenges and defeat foes with the techniques he taught. Wasn't this precisely the immersion that modern games lacked? Indeed, it was demanding and hardcore. But he relished such games. Chen Huai'an reopened the learning page for the Qinglian Sword Classic. He propped his phone on a live stream stand and took a deep breath. Well, if he were to be ridiculed by the game developers for teaching Li Qingran a supreme sword technique, so be it. After all, they couldn't see him. Lacking a sword, he used a drying pole as a substitute. Chen Huai'an found the textual and visual instructions quite simple, yet the execution proved to be anything but. First, the sword must remain steady. Previously, he had trembled while holding a bottle of water, yet today, inexplicably, his hands were remarkably steady. However, he also needed to ensure two vertical points, the sword's alignment with the ground and its position relative to his arm, while simultaneously keeping the sword parallel to his body. Performing this action for a short duration was manageable, but after less than 2 minutes, his arms began to ache. Even more disheartening was the realization that after half an hour of lifting the drying pole, the progress for the initial insight chapter had only advanced by 1%. Nevertheless, his perseverance was commendable. Chen Huai'an resolutely continued for an hour, stopping only when his back was drenched in sweat. I can't go on. I'm about to fall apart, he muttered, trembling as he set the drying pole down and stretched his stiff body. It was now quite late, nearly midnight. Yet he had neither washed his clothes nor bathed, and he radiated an unpleasant odor. If he considered this practice as physical exercise, it might not be so bad. Rubbing his sore arms, he remained undeterred. He planned to rest for the night and resume his practice in the morning. Just then, a sudden thud resonated from the door. It sounded as though something had collided with the door. Chapter 22. You are destined to meet your true self. Upon opening the door, he found no one outside. Chen Huai'an wore a perplexed expression, silently pondering whether it was yet another delivery from the gaming company. Instinctively, he glanced down and beheld a small, furry black ball huddled at the threshold, its eyes, nose, and ears barely visible. It was a kitten. If memory served him right, he was staying at a chain hotel. Chen Huai'an surveyed the lengthy corridor, lost in contemplation. How had a cat managed to enter a chain hotel? He crouched down and poked the furry creature, which showed no response, merely shivering in place. He then gently lifted the kitten by the scruff of its neck, gaining a clearer view, a distinct white patch on its face. Commonly referred to as a bald cat, and its hind legs were a gruesome mess, with injuries marring its back as well. His room was located at the end of the corridor, adjacent to the window, which was fully ajar at that moment. He also spotted a small pool of blood on the door, an area the kitten could hardly reach, and a few feathers from a raptor near the window. This cat was certainly peculiar. Could it be some sort of creature? Chen Huai'an narrowed his eyes, sensing that this matter was far from simple. After a moment of careful thought, a spark of insight illuminated his mind, and he arrived at a conclusion. A large bird must have crashed into the window, inadvertently casting its prey at his door before fleeing in fright, abandoning its catch. What astute reasoning! Chen Huai'an felt that his latent potential had been awakened. Little one, you are fated to encounter me. He brought the kitten inside. Ignoring the hotel's strict no-pet policy, he contemplated that given his terminal condition, he had little regard for such rules. The kitten was temporarily housed in a shoebox. It was impossible to visit a veterinary clinic at this hour, nearing midnight. Most pet hospitals had closed, and his location was rather remote. The nearest 24-hour veterinary service would require a 1.5-hour journey into the city. He sensed that the kitten would not survive until then, for already, blood had begun to seep into the shoebox during the brief moments he spent searching for a clinic. Little one, since conventional methods would surely lead to your demise, I shall resort to desperate measures. If your life is meant to continue, you must grow strong and avoid being preyed upon by large birds again. Should fate dictate otherwise, do not blame me. Chen Huai'an pressed his palms together. Bowing to the kitten, he then retrieved a set of silver needles he had purchased earlier, initially intended for his own treatments, hoping to hasten his recovery before considering treating others. Today, however, fate had brought him a kitten, and he would give it a try. As he grasped the silver needle, an acupoint diagram naturally unfolded in his mind. The acupoints for cats differed from those for humans, and Chen Huai'an was uncertain how he knew this. Perhaps it was a manifestation of his hidden potential. The spring needle is intended for stopping and coagulating blood, invigorating circulation, and promoting wound recovery. The upgrading condition is to administer 1,000 needles or recharge 998 to advance to open meridian needle level 2. Following the sequence illuminated on the acupoint chart, the needles were swiftly inserted with fluid precision. Remarkable changes soon manifested in the little cat. The most notable effect was the cessation of bleeding. The wound no longer oozed blood, with the back injury being the most evident, now entirely sealed by a layer of blood membrane that had not existed prior to the treatment. The efficacy of this acupuncture is indeed astonishing. Chen Huai'an mused, stroking his chin. Although he lacked knowledge of traditional Chinese medicine, he held a deep respect for its enigmatic practices. The question now arose, was it his skill or the techniques gleaned from that game that proved so potent? He found himself perplexed. For the moment, he could do no more for the little cat. Its survival instinct would have to take the lead. He turned to wash himself in the shower. However, as he stepped into the stall, he failed to notice the emergence of a menacing black dragon lurking behind him, its form shifting like smoke. Existing somewhere between reality and illusion, save for the dread emanating from its imposing eyes that evoked fear. In the shoebox, the pitch-black little cat struggled to turn over. Its mouth moved slightly, producing a sound akin to crunching, as a ghastly white bone fragment became faintly visible. With each chew, its body contorted, oscillating between the forms of a goat and a cat, its visage morphing into that of a blind, fanged demon. Its mouth was vast, with eyes positioned beneath its armpits. After several seconds of alternating transformations, it finally stabilized into a feline form, gradually falling silent. Song Jiaojiao had died. This news reached Mu Baishuang through her partner, Yang Buitao. How had Song Jiaojiao met her demise? Faced with Mu Baishuang's inquiry, Yang Buitao's expression darkened. I do not know. I merely sent her to eliminate that wretched Li Qingran, and she never returned. She had left a soul lamp with me, and upon returning to my cave to retrieve spiritual stones, I discovered the soul lamp had extinguished. Mu Baishuang's heart raced at this revelation. Yet she masked her shock with an expression of sorrow and indignation. What did you say? Why would you send Song Jiaojiao to kill Li Qingran? Song Jiaojiao is my dear friend, and Li Qingran is my senior sister. Have you lost your mind? I did this for you. Yang Buitao's face turned pale, his voice trembling. Baishuang, that vile Li Qingran dared to harm you. She had previously humiliated me as well. I have long held disdain for her. Did you not confide in Song Jiaojiao about the grievances you suffered at Li Qingran's hands? Was I not merely seeking to avenge you? Do not call me Mu Baishuang. We are not that familiar. What I discuss with Song Jiaojiao is a matter between sisters and has nothing to do with you. Why should you involve yourself in my affairs? With a cold expression, Mu Baishuang's mind was in turmoil. Her original plan had been to feign grievances to Song Jiaojiao, then exploit the close rapport between her and Yang Buitao to incite his anger, thereby implicating Yang Buitao as the instigator of Song Jiaojiao's actions against Li Qingran rather than herself. Moreover, it was her fourth senior brother, Zhang Hanqiao, who had brought Song Jiaojiao to the inner sect. In this manner, she would perfectly extricate herself from the entanglement of this affair. Her only concern was to have Zhang Hanqiao bring Song Jiaojiao to the inner gate, yet this hardly constituted an issue. According to the sect's regulations, only Zhang Hanqiao would face consequences, especially since he was her senior brother and shouldered the burden on her behalf. Song Jiaojiao was at the 9th level of qi refining, while Li Qingran was merely a waste, his dantian destroyed and spiritual roots rendered useless. Eliminating Li Qingran would be exceedingly simple, and Song Jiaojiao could do so without leaving any trace, ensuring everyone's safety. However, she never anticipated that Li Qingran would survive. While Song Jiaojiao met her demise, surely, something extraordinary had transpired. The recovery of Li Qingran's injuries had been suspicious, yet she had paid it little heed. Junior sister Baishuang, all I do is for your happiness. Yang Buotao felt a surge of anxiety. Since Li Qingran had been expelled from the sect, he was no longer associated with Qingyun's sect. Furthermore, with his dantian and spiritual roots destroyed, he was but an irrelevant commoner. Yet, Qingyun's sect was a righteous sect. For a cultivator to target an innocent person, if word spread to other sects, they would surely mock him. To preserve his reputation, he would inevitably face severe punishment from the sect, and Song Jiao's death would also be attributed to him. No, I am not happy. Yang Buotao, prepare to face the sect's retribution. Mu Baishuang's words cast all the blame onto Yang Buotao. At that moment, the senior brother of Qishao Peak, Lu Changtian, entered. Mu Baishuang instinctively hid behind Lu Changtian. Yang Buotao, this is Qishao Peak, not your Xianling Peak. What business do you have here? Brother Changtian. Mu Baishuang's expression was one of anguish, her eyes glistening with tears as she clutched Lu Changtian's arm, lamenting. Yang Buotao instructed Song Jiao to assassinate Li Qingran and even caused her death. How could he do such a thing? One was my dear friend. The other my senior sister. Woo. No, it's not like that. Lu, please let me explain. Yang Buotao attempted to interject. But before he could utter another word, Lu Changtian had already kicked him to the ground upon witnessing the tearful junior sister. Yang Buotao, you truly possess audacity. Even if Li Qingran has left Qingyun's sect, he was once a member of Qishao Peak. When has it become your place to meddle in our affairs? Do you think that by killing Li Qingran, we would regard you with any respect? You have already violated the sect's rules by having Song Jiao assassinate him. Now, come with me to the law enforcement hall to receive your punishment. Lu Changtian pointed his sword-like finger at Yang Buotao's pale face, reaching out to seize him. Beside them, Mu Baishuang tugged at Lu Changtian's sleeve, whispering, Brother Changtian, senior sister Ching Ran is not dead. It is Song Jiao who has perished. Lu Changtian's outstretched hand halted, his countenance filled with astonishment as he processed her words. What did you say? Chapter 23. The activation of the periodic battle order. Song Jiao is dead. Li Qingran is alive. Upon clarifying this causal relationship, Lu Changtian found himself in disbelief. What strength did Li Qingran possess? With a body nurtured by spiritual energy over the years, he was merely a formidable warrior. And Song Jiao, if memory served correctly, she was at the 9th level of qi refining. To kill Li Qingran would be as effortless as crushing an ant. Yet the outcome was that Song Jiao had died. Song Jiao was killed by Li Qingran. Lu Changtian glared at Yang Buotao. I do not know. Yang Buotao stammered, clearly frightened. I merely urged her to eliminate Li Qingran. At first, she was reluctant, but I promised her a foundation establishment pill, and she went. Later, I went to collect spirit stones to buy the pill, and upon returning to the cave, I found Song Jiao's soul lamp shattered. When a person dies, their lamp extinguishes. This is an ironclad rule for cultivators below the nascent soul stage. The soul lamp harbors a fragment of the cultivator's soul and a drop of their essence blood. When the main soul perishes, the remaining soul, like a rootless floating weed, naturally detaches from that drop of essence and dissipates into the world. Brother Changtian, this matter is quite perplexing. I have heard that the demonic sect has recently resumed activities in the Cangyun Realm. Could it be that our senior sister has been possessed by someone from the demonic faction? Mu Baishuang revealed a fearful expression. Although Sister Ching Ran is no longer a member of our Qingyun sect, I still hope she is not harmed by those from the demonic sect. Lu Changtian's face darkened as he pondered. Yang Buotao would undoubtedly face punishment. There was no escaping this. The circumstances surrounding Li Qingran were indeed strange. He did not care about Li Qingran's fate, but she could not become a hidden threat to Qingyun's sect. It was essential to ascertain whether Li Qingran's ability to slay Song Jiao was mere coincidence or if there was another underlying reason. Coincidentally, he overheard Mu Baishuang saying, Brother Changtian, Sister Ching Ran was once a part of our Qishao Peak. We cannot simply disregard this matter. Otherwise, how will the other peaks perceive us? Regardless of whether Sister Ching Ran is responsible, we must bring her back, even if it is just to have her perform menial tasks. It is certainly better than leaving her to await death in Wanshan. She feigned ignorance of Li Qingran's whereabouts, her eyes filled with compassion. Such a kind-hearted junior sister. Despite the harm Li Qingran has caused you, you still speak up for her. Zhang Hanshao should have dealt with her decisively back then. Lu Changtian gritted his teeth. Yet he absorbed Mu Baishuang's words. If Song Jiao's death was an accident, then Li Qingran should be sent far away from Wanshan and Qingyun sect. However, if Song Jiao was indeed murdered by Li Qingran, regardless of whether she had acquired some opportunity or had been possessed by the demonic sect, she would be a ticking time bomb. It would be wiser to keep such a bomb under close watch, lest it detonates unexpectedly. Nevertheless, he deemed the former possibility more likely. Besides being possessed by the demonic sect or aligning with them, He could not conceive of any other means by which an unworthy individual, devoid of spiritual roots or a dantian, could slay a cultivator at the 9th level of chi refinement. The master had said that only the primordial restoration pill could restore one's dantian. That was an ancient divine medicine. Surely, Li Qingran could not have obtained such a rare elixir. Sister, do not fret. I will report this matter to the master. I will ensure that you receive a satisfactory response. Lu Changtian gently patted Mu Baishuang's head, revealing a tender smile. Song Jiaojiao must not have died in vain. If Li Qingran is not the murderer, then what harm is there in bringing her back to Qishao Peak? A mere mortal can certainly be supported by Qishao Peak. Indeed. Brother Changtian, you are the best. Mu Baishuang's eyes sparkled with mischief as she smiled. Lu Changtian reported the bizarre death of Song Jiaojiao and his suspicions regarding Li Qingran to the sect. The esteemed leader Wu Duantian regards this matter with utmost seriousness. He first imposed a severe punishment on Yang Buotao, confining him to face the wall at Thundercliff for 6 months and stripping him of all resource allocations for a month. Subsequently, he appointed Lu Changtian to lead a team of disciples from the enforcement hall to investigate the situation in Wanquanshan. Before their departure, the gathered members of the enforcement hall were cautioned by sect leader Wu Duantian. Should they encounter individuals from the demonic sect, they must refrain from immediate action. For the cunning of demonic cultivators may lead them to display only the strength they wish to reveal. Lu Changtian, your foremost duty will be to report back to the sect using the communication jade slip. Rest assured, sect leader, I shall not act recklessly. Lu Changtian replied with a respectful bow before turning to consult Master Qingxian of Qishao Peak. Master Qingxian stroked his beard and, with narrowed eyes, remarked, You have always been composed in your endeavors. I shall say no more. Proceed. Upon hearing this, Lu Changtian unsheathed his flying sword with a flourish, captivating the gazes of several female disciples. Just as he and the enforcement hall disciples prepared to soar into the skies, a sudden clap of thunder resonated from above. The entire sky of the Cangyun Realm underwent a dramatic transformation. The previously clear skies were cloaked in ominous clouds, within which flickered blood-red lightning. A surge of consciousness, laden with terrifying pressure, swept through the air. Lu Changtian's mind went blank, and as he stepped onto his flying sword, he tumbled down. The cultivators of Qingyun's sect looked skyward, their hearts filled with trepidation, while sect leader Wu Duantian and the elders wore grave expressions. What has transpired in recent days? Has a formidable being begun to decipher the heavenly secrets just past noon? Divining heavenly secrets is typically an action taken by powerful cultivators when faced with insurmountable challenges. Moreover, not just anyone can undertake such a task. Only those who have cultivated relevant techniques to a high degree possess the ability to glean even the slightest insight into overcoming obstacles. This practice is immensely taxing on a cultivator's vitality and can even endanger their fate and fortune. Generally, performing such divination once a year is already considered a significant drain. What could this be, a divination occurring daily? Yesterday, there were rumors of divine pills emerging from Wanquanshan. Could there be a connection between these events? The Cangyun Realm is becoming increasingly inscrutable, Wu Duantian mused with a sense of melancholy. Although those in the transformation stage may seem grand, in the grand scheme of celestial forces, they are but a swarm of ants. If the great beings who daily seek to divine the heavenly secrets cannot find a solution, how shall we, the lesser cultivators, confront the perilous future? Lu Changtian, for safety's sake, I advise you to proceed on foot with the disciples from the enforcement hall. Wu Duantian instructed, drawing his gaze from the foreboding sky. With a powerful being attempting to divine the heavenly secrets, it is likely that individuals from the demonic sect would not dare to roam freely. Whether you arrive early or late makes little difference. Do not draw attention, and maintain a low profile. Understood, Lu Changtian replied, his expression darkening as he nodded. He cast a glance at the dim sky, clenching his fists. One day, he too would rise to such heights. Yet, the very act of divining heavenly secrets sends shivers through the weak, rendering them too fearful to fly. Divining heavenly secrets, are you an artificial AI? At the bathroom door, Chen Huai'an, already clad in his sleepwear, was frantically tapping on his phone. Attempting to divine the secrets of the universe. Failure in divination, please pose another question. When does 1 + 1 = 3? Attempting to divine. 1 + 1 = 2, please pose another question. There are 10 birds on a tree. If one is shot down, how many remain? Attempting to. One has fallen to the ground, leaving none on the tree. Please pose another question. Hee, amusing indeed. However, there must be a game master behind this. Chen Huai'an pondered thoughtfully, stroking his chin. The questions that could stump artificial intelligence, yet failed to challenge this divination mechanism, surely indicated a human presence. Given this, could you provide me with an internal number? I promise to thoroughly experience the game and write daily reports for you. Spare me the financial pitfalls. I have mastered acupuncture. You may find it hard to believe, akin to achieving mastery in Tai Chi with the elderly, but I am now capable of miraculous healing. Should you ever find yourselves missing limbs, I shall assist you gratuitously. Chen Huai'an typed each word carefully, and, just as he clicked send, the game window for the divination abruptly closed. TSK, quite stubborn. Chen Huai'an smirked. Thus, should they ever seek his expertise in the future, they ought not to regret it. How to restore spiritual roots. He reopened the divination, this time posing a more conventional inquiry. Li Qingran was still in the process of absorbing the primordial restoration pill, an ancient divine medicine that could not be fully assimilated in a mere instant. With time on his hands, he resumed his torment of the divination mechanism. Li Qingran faced two significant issues, his dantian and his spiritual roots. Currently, a satisfactory solution for the latter remained elusive. Divination completed. Spiritual roots cannot be repaired, but they can be artificially implanted. Your cultivation decree has captured a glimmer of the secrets of the universe. A recharge of 12,888 is required to receive a 10,000-fold return. Reaching the pinnacle of Qi refinement, mid and late foundation establishment, and the grand completion of foundation establishment will yield extraordinary prizes. Achieving the pinnacle of foundation establishment grants access to superior mysterious spiritual roots. Would you like to initiate the Qi refinement mid-foundation establishment cultivation decree? Chen Huai'an. I curse your damn. Chapter 24. Guardian Package. Is there truly no other means to acquire spiritual roots? Is this decree absolutely necessary? Does Chen Huai'an's wealth grow on trees? In response to his despair and confusion, the system presented the girlfriend store. The first item to catch his eye was the shimmering Xianshui spiritual root, priced at 19,990,000. This exquisite type of elemental spiritual root was merely the least expensive. Beneath it lay various roots with even more outrageous prices, their zeros longer than his lifespan. Ordinary spiritual roots were nowhere to be found. This store exclusively sold the finest. What's more, the Xianshui root was locked. Li Qingran would need to attain the nascent soul realm to unlock purchasing rights. Truly maddening. If he had 19,990,000, wouldn't it be wiser to use it for cancer treatment? If cured, he could comfortably enjoy the rest of his life. Thus, this game evidently had no intention of allowing him to obtain spiritual roots through such purchasing avenues. What more is there to say? Chen Huai'an let out a bitter laugh. Contemplating how this absurd game has inadvertently unlocked his genetic seal, he decided to proceed. Another substantial sum vanished from his e-payment account. Chen Huai'an collapsed onto the sofa, engulfed by a profound emptiness that was not only more intense than the state of sagehood, but also far more enduring. A faint meow echoed weakly. Chen Huai'an sprang to his feet, darting towards the shoebox. Little Nibby appears to be resilient. Compared to its earlier pitiful state, the little black cat seemed to have improved significantly. At least it could move within the confines of the shoebox now. Despite the visible severity of its wounds, it appeared somewhat more healed than before its bath. Truly, I, Chen, am a genius. This time, Chen Huai'an expressed his thoughts in a definite tone. However, he quickly shook his head, a self-deprecating smile gracing his lips. Alas, my life is but fleeting. Unbeknownst to him, the little black cat was fixated on his neck, its dark eyes flashing with a glimmer of murderous intent. Eat, devour him. If I consume him, my injuries will heal. A mere bird, not enough to satiate. What are you staring at? Chen Huai'an and the little black cat exchanged intense gazes. Upon noticing Chen Huai'an's attention, the cat's fierce demeanor softened, its pupils round and innocent, letting out a high-pitched meow. Still uncomfortable, is it? Chen Huai'an stroked his chin thoughtfully. Perhaps I should. He turned around, defenselessly exposing his back. An opportunity. The black cat arched its back, preparing to pounce. Its fur bristled, and its eyes burned with fury. Yet, in the next moment, the man abruptly spun around, brandishing a set of silver needles in his left hand while gripping the cat's nape with his right. The cat's eyes widened in shock. Curse it. What has this damned human done? Why can't I move? This feeble body, move for me now? Having just administered a single injection, Chen Huai'an decided to reinforce it. He placed the little black cat on the sofa, casually wrapped it in a towel, and began the procedure. The little cat might be rabid, for all I know. Since it can move now, it's prudent to exercise caution, lest it scratches him and he has to visit the hospital for a rabies vaccine. That would be quite the expense. Despicable, lowly human, daring to wrap me up like this. The black cat struggled violently, baring its teeth. Chen Huai'an was well prepared, swiftly administering a needle to two specific acupoints. The cat's eyes bulged once more. What is this technique? It was immobilized again. How effective? As he continued with the injections, Chen Huai'an mused. Even if I can't use this on people in the future, perhaps I could acquire a veterinary certificate and open a pet clinic, which might yield a fortune, with grateful pet owners presenting me with banners of appreciation. By the way, is this a male or female cat? Chen Huai'an lifted its tail for a glance. Oh, a male. Then you'd better grow up obediently, for I shall personally perform your neutering surgery to prevent you from harassing other female cats. The black cat. What does this human speak of? Is he suggesting neutering me? Preposterous, utterly preposterous. I must consume him. He must be devoured. However, as Chen Huai'an continued to administer the needles, the black cat suddenly perceived that the wounds upon its body were healing at a remarkable pace, and the internal agony gradually dissipated. The silver needles that pierced its flesh did not inflict pain. Rather, they transmitted a warm current into its being, lulling it into a state of blissful drowsiness. This human, it appears he possesses uses beyond mere consumption. Could this technique of acupuncture be a means of healing? How intriguing. It seems there are indeed inheritors of the secret art of golden needles in this era. Very well then, I shall wait for him to heal me before I consume him. At that time, the secret art of golden needles shall belong to me. A notification appeared in the game. Your electronic girlfriend has absorbed the celestial essence of the primordial repairing pill. Chen Huai'an caught a glimpse of this with his peripheral vision, and his heart swelled with joy. In a matter of moments, he extracted the silver needles from the black cat and deftly tossed them into a shoebox, which bounced slightly on the sofa before its lid snapped shut. The black cat. The wounds have yet to be healed. Meow. Human. I demand your demise. Chen Huai'an paid no heed to the frenzied scratching and furious protests emanating from the shoebox. His complete attention focused on Li Qingran. Status. Resting. Qi cultivation in progress. Cultivation progress. 3679 remaining lifespan. 273 years affection level. 50. How splendid. Observing that Li Qingran's lifespan had extended to 273 years, Chen Huai'an felt a mix of comfort and envy. As the clock struck midnight, the game notification refreshed, predicting his lifespan to be a mere 129 days. He was skeptical, yet he knew he was indeed a short-lived soul, naturally envious of those who could enjoy longevity. However, he swiftly found solace in the thought. The game time aligned with real-world time. This meant that, as long as he invested heavily to ensure Li Qingran encountered no unforeseen events, even if he himself perished, as long as this game account remained intact, Li Qingran would continue to exist for over 2 centuries, bearing his imprint. He suddenly felt that his previous expenditures were not in vain. Of course, this was contingent upon the game company behaving honorably. He had heard tales of many games shutting down abruptly, leaving players' investments in characters to vanish, with compensation limited to worthless items from other games under the same company. Such actions were no different from violating one's property rights. Fortunately, he had not encountered that infamous warning stating that the final interpretation rights belonged to the game company. Meanwhile, within his phone, a transformation unfolded around Li Qingran. The curtains ceased their fluttering, the dust around the small room settled, and the fluctuations of spiritual energy became steady. Chen Huai'an witnessed golden, plant-like sprouts emerging from the girl, their growth expanding, gradually enveloping the entire room, and buds began to form upon the sprouts, as if something extraordinary were on the verge of birth. As Li Qingran enters the final phase of establishing his nascent dantian, the first-grade dantian inevitably attracts the scrutiny of many. Should one invest 88 to safeguard Li Qingran? A new scheme of extortion through microtransactions? A smirk of disdain graced Chen Huai'an's lips. The alternative of not assisting Li Qingran in restoring his dantian surely spells failure. One can only imagine an ancient demon emerging from the shadows to seize it. As for the possibility of such theft, since the game is developed by them, mishaps can easily be scripted by their programmers. Fortunately, 88 is not an exorbitant sum, and Chen Huai'an decided to proceed with the transaction. Please select your protective form. Personal manifestation as Guardian 100,888 once. Mount Tiao Tiao as Guardian 58,888 once. Sword Spirit as Guardian 38,888 once. Ultimate Guardian Package 35,888 once. Includes a complete set of the Minor Exorcism Sword Array, a complete set of the Xuanwu Array, and 7 Jiuyang 5 Thunder Talismans. Advanced Guardian Package 18,888 once. Includes a complete set of the Thunder Locking Dragon Array and 1 Jiuyang 5 Thunder Talisman. Intermediate Guardian Package 1888 once. Includes a complete set of the Rising Sword Array and 10 Immortal Grade 5 Thunder Talismans. Basic Guardian Package 188 once. Includes a complete set of the Thunder Fire Burning Heaven Array, 10 Immortal Grade Thunder Fire Talismans, and 1 Jiuyang Purple Thunder Talisman. Customizable Package. Shopping Cart Stacking Payment. All of the above are time-limited offers, available only this once. Act swiftly to purchase. After perusing the various packages, Chen Huai'an felt a twitch at the corner of his mouth. How naive he had been. The 88 yuan merely served as the key to unlock the potential for extravagant spending. Without that payment, one would lack the privilege to indulge. Now that he had invested the 88 yuan, it was up to him to decide whether to further indulge or not. However, he was relieved that the additional offerings were not excessively outrageous. The packages presented were undoubtedly designed to aid Li Qingran in overcoming this calamity, while purchasing the pricier options was merely for the ostentation of the affluent. He could foresee that once the game officially launched, players reaching this stage would witness a cascade of spectacular effects, while ordinary players would mostly opt for the more modest basic Guardian packages, devoid of any ostentatious effects, ensuring their gaming progress remained unaffected. Chen Huai'an, considering himself no fool, naturally chose the basic Guardian package. Curiously, a man who once deemed a 15 yuan takeaway expensive now considered the 188 yuan package to be quite reasonable. This was merely the time-limited promotional price. How much would the original cost? The predatory nature of microtransaction games is truly alarming. Basic Guardian package in progress. Chen Huai'an observed as a gleaming array of lightning rapidly formed around Li Qingran's modest abode, encompassing a radius of 100 meters before fading into invisibility. Simultaneously, 10 immortal-grade thunderfire talismans adorned the vicinity of the small house, while a large talisman, measuring the length of an adult's arm and shimmering with purple lightning, covered in intricate and mysterious designs, was affixed to the table before Li Qingran. Surely, a monster siege was imminent? With arms crossed, Chen Huai'an felt intimately acquainted with the game's progress. At this moment, the reconstruction of Li Qingran's Dantian had reached its final stage, with the progress bar hovering at 90. Cangyun Realm, Wanchuan Mountain. In a desolate rocky outcrop devoid of life, a pair of sinister eyes abruptly opened in a pitch-black abyss concealed by towering mountains. What a delightful aroma! Such an exquisite scent. This fragrance is of the supreme elixir, an unparalleled treasure. It is inconceivable that this heiress still harbors a prodigious talent capable of condensing such an extraordinary elixir. Ha ha ha. Truly, fortune favors me. Chapter 25. The Demon Sect. Nightfall. Brother Lu. Is it true that there are activities of the Demon Sect within the Wanqing Mountains? The disciples of the Cangyun Sect descended from their mountain abode, having rushed through the air on flying swords since entering the Foundation establishment stage, leaving little time for idle chatter. Today, however, offered a rare opportunity for leisurely conversation, and they sought fitting topics to discuss as they made their way. Silence. Lu Changtian coldly snorted, casting a dismissive glance at the disciples trailing behind him. Even if there are members of the Demon Sect, what of it? The Wanqing Mountains belong to our Cangyun Sect. Even if an ancestor of the Demon Sect were to arrive, they would still have to bow to us. The disciples exchanged looks of admiration upon hearing his words. Brother Lu is absolutely right. Indeed, Brother Lu is the strongest of the new generation of direct disciples of our Cangyun Sect, his talent far surpassing that of those from the Demon Sect. Should we encounter any disciples from the Demon Sect, we shall unleash our fury. On the surface, Lu Changtian maintained an expression of indifference, yet internally, he relished the praise. Indeed, with the previous sect leader's favored disciple, Zhao Lingtian, now rendered powerless, he had risen to be the foremost among the young direct disciples. The mightiest of the Foundation establishment stage, mere members of the Demon Sect were insignificant. Suddenly, the once clear night sky darkened ominously. Lu Changtian looked up to see a mass of dark clouds rising from the mountains, swiftly obscuring the moonlight. Within that cloud surged a crimson demonic aura. A chilling pressure palpable even from a distance. Demons. Such terrifying demonic energy. Quickly, alert the sect. Lu Changtian's face turned pale, his earlier confidence evaporating. The demonic energy had coalesced into clouds. The opponent was undoubtedly an ancient and formidable foe. To encounter such an entity would spell doom for these fledgling cultivators. Still not yet at the Golden Core stage. The disciple from the law enforcement hall beside Lu Changtian fumbled to produce a communication jade slip, ready to activate it, only to find himself unable to move. Ha ha ha. Little ones, you cannot be allowed to relay messages. A chilling laugh echoed from behind them. Lu Changtian's heart raced as he realized the dark clouds had vanished. The demon cultivator had somehow appeared behind them. The miasma of demonic energy engulfed the law enforcement disciple, silencing his screams and reducing the jade slip to mere shards. I have pressing matters today and no time to deal with you. Consider this a small plaything for you to amuse yourselves with, the demon chuckled, as the demonic energy gradually dissipated. The demon cultivator had not even fully revealed himself before claiming the life of a disciple from the Cangyun Sect, leaving behind only a grotesque, lifeless husk. He has gone. Junior Brother Zhang. Alas, cease your cries. It is utterly finished. We must hasten back to report to the sect. There is but a single communication jade slip, and given the emergence of a formidable demonic cultivator in Wanqing Mountain, it is no longer suitable for disciples of such combat prowess to continue the mission. More elite disciples, or even elders, must be dispatched by the sect to address the issue. One disciple stepped forward, about to retrieve the body of the unfortunate Zhang Shidi. Do not approach. Return quickly. Li Qingran, fixated on the corpse, sensed something amiss and urgently cautioned, but alas, it was too late. Suddenly, the seemingly lifeless Zhang Shidi sprouted crimson fur all over and, in an instant, sprang from the ground, pouncing upon the disciple with the swiftness of a leopard. With a gaping maw revealing pairs of sharp fangs, it lunged for the disciple's neck. In a horrifying instant, the neck of the foundation-building disciple was viciously severed, flesh and blood erupting forth like a torrential flood. This unforeseen event left the surrounding disciples in a state of shock, rendered speechless and motionless. Meanwhile, the bloodthirsty creature grew even more frenzied. This is a fur zombie. Li Qingran unsheathed his flying sword, his expression grave. He hastily instructed the disciples beside him. Quickly form a formation. The enemy is formidable. If we do not eliminate it, none of us shall escape. Gazing at the grotesque fur zombie, a chill coursed through his veins. It could convert into a creature equivalent to the peak of foundation building with ease. Just who was that demonic cultivator? In a humble abode at the foot of the mountain, Li Qingran pondered in astonishment. The elixir given to me by my senior is likely far more than merely precious. She turned her focus inward, gazing at her dantian. There, amidst a shimmering golden light, a nascent dantian began to take form, unlike any she had previously encountered. As the condensation approached completion, a rotating golden lotus platform materialized before her eyes. Is this truly my new dantian? The lotus-shaped dantian radiated a hazy azure light, with each leaf of the lotus distinctly visible, even inscribed with profound scriptures of the great Tao. What manner of dantian is this? Never before heard of, never before seen. Yet, Li Qingran understood that this dantian was extraordinary. She often frequented the scripture repository to peruse materials. Although the first floor contained no potent techniques, it boasted numerous biographies of the history of the Cangyun Realm, many chronicled by cultivators themselves. While these tales did not enhance combat prowess, they broadened one's horizons. In ancient times, sects placed greater importance on the quality of the dantian rather than the spiritual roots. Back then, dantians were graded. A first-grade dantian was the pinnacle among innate dantians, yet there existed an even rarer grade, the supreme grade. However, no cultivator was ever born with a supreme-grade dantian. Only prodigies with first-grade dantians could enhance their dantian with rare resources, yielding a slim chance of achieving the legendary supreme-grade dantian. Li Qingran had never witnessed a supreme-grade dantian. Yet, she harbored an instinctive premonition. Now, her dantian was, without a doubt, supreme. The senior gave me an extraordinary elixir. Li Qingran opened her eyes, bewildered by the sight of a small room adorned with blooming golden lotuses, on the verge of tears. The gratitude she felt for restoring her dantian was already overwhelming. Yet the senior not only rejuvenated her dantian, but also bestowed upon her such a significant opportunity. Indeed, it was an exceptional dantian. My fortunes have arrived. Suddenly, a raucous laughter echoed from outside the small room. Li Qingran glanced out the window, only to witness a dark cloud hovering in the sky, swirling with demonic energy. And within it, a vague silhouette. It was a demonic cultivator. The newcomer bore ill intent and possessed formidable strength. Senior, there are practitioners from the demon sect approaching. In her moment of urgency, Li Qingran did not ponder whether her senior was stronger than this demonic cultivator. Instead, she grasped a broken sword tightly and fixed her gaze on the window. Ha ha ha. The demonic cultivator, having heard Li Qingran's voice, laughed maniacally, declaring, I am Yi Futian, the ancestor of the heavenly demon sect. Today, none of you shall escape. Willingly become the foundation for my ascension. Do not be so arrogant. Li Qingran's eyes narrowed as she prepared to rise with the broken sword in hand. However, a gentle force rebounded her back. In the hotel room, Chen Huai'an observed the dark cloud and the large red dot on the map, a wicked smile curling at the corners of his mouth. He retrieved a communication talisman and pressed it, saying, Girl, step back, cover yourself with the blanket. I am about to show off. What Li Qingran heard was, no worries. Mere ants. I can dispatch them with ease. Upon seeing the notification, you may manipulate the formation and talismans at will. The smile on Chen Huai'an's face twisted into something sinister. As a player who invested heavily, was it not his desire to crush bosses effortlessly? Thunderfire Incineration Array. No need to hide. Let us unleash its power. In the Cangyun Realm, a booming voice resonated above the small room. Thunderfire Incineration Array, activate. Buzz. What is happening? From Yi Futian's perspective, The ground within 100 miles of the small room erupted with flowing purple runes, from which thunder and flames surged forth, intertwining to form a grand circle that enclosed both him and the small room. A sense of threat surged within him, though not overwhelming. Yi Futian was an exceptionally cautious individual. Otherwise, he would not have been pursued by righteous cultivators for so many years, sustaining numerous injuries, yet still brazenly wandering out to commit misdeeds. Had he been any other demonic cultivator, he would likely have been dismembered by now. In the past, even the slightest hint of danger would have sent him fleeing. However, today was unlike any other. The temptation before him was simply too great. An exceptional Dantian. If he could obtain this body, what would the bottleneck that had plagued him for years matter? Even if it meant dispersing his cultivation to rebuild, he would deem it worthwhile. The spiritual energy in the Cangyun Realm was rapidly diminishing, and the treasures of heaven and earth were no longer sufficient for a qualitative leap. Fortune favors the bold. Even if all the elders of the Cangyun sect gathered today, he would still dare to take the risk. Humph. A mere formation dares to obstruct me? In the shroud of demonic energy, Yi Futian's form remained concealed, his presence only discernible through his voice. The sinister aura surged, and a blood mist claw erupted from the depths of the darkness, crashing onto the rooftop with the weight of a mountain. Dust swirled violently around the small dwelling, and the floor bowed low. Inside, Li Qingran felt an icy dread seep into his heart, rendering his breaths labored. Bang! The demonic claw struck the grand formation, its runes flickering momentarily, yet showing no signs of shattering. Goodness! Chen Huai'an, fixated on his phone, was startled. He was still deciphering how to manipulate the array. In the blink of an eye, the boss's assault had come crashing down upon him. That old fool lacks martial virtue, he thought, deciding to unleash several immortal-grade Thunderfire talismans. His fingers danced across the screen, and 3 talismans soared from the door and walls of the small house, shooting towards the billowing demonic energy. Yi Futian, however, paid little heed to the trifling talismans. His heart weighed heavy. The grand formation had withstood his full-strength strike without faltering, indicating its extraordinary quality. The most enigmatic figures in the Cangyun Realm were undoubtedly the array masters, and given the choice, he would prefer not to contend with one. Gathering his full power, Yi Futian unleashed a second strike without reservation, intent on a swift resolution. His technique, the Blood Cloud Palm, was a low-grade earth-level skill that guaranteed a hit, possessing the peculiar ability to corrode spiritual energy. Once afflicted, any cultivator facing him would gradually weaken, their essence devoured by the malevolent aura of the Blood Cloud Palm. This effect also applied to formations. In an instant, the 3 talismans approached, radiating with golden light and accompanied by the rumble of thunder. Something felt amiss. This was an immortal-grade talisman. Yi Futian's scalp tingled, but there was no time to alter his strategy. The immortal-grade Thunderfire talismans detonated mid-air, unleashing a torrent of lightning and fire that enveloped Yi Futian's blood cloud. Simultaneously, Chen Huai'an had deciphered the method to activate the formation. A keyboard materialized on his phone, and he pressed the keys in the correct sequence, producing a continuous stream of English and Chinese combinations. For me, Chen Huai'an, this was child's play. Previously, he would never have dared to think so. Yet, since mastering the art of needlework, his hands had become quick and steady. If he were to enter a rhythm game competition now, he might just surpass all challengers and set a world record. Tap, tap, tap. Chen Huai'an rapidly inputted commands on his phone screen. To come is come, to go is go. Boom. Just as Yi Futian was recovering from withstanding the 3 Thunderfire talismans, he was struck squarely in the face by a bolt of lightning and fire unleashed from the formation. Nod is yes, shake head is no. To greet is to say hello, 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 haha, hello. Boom, boom, crackle. As Chen Huai'an's response speed quickened, the rate at which the lightning and fire were unleashed also accelerated. Although the power of the Thunderfire formation was insufficient to annihilate Yi Futian, the overwhelming quantity was relentless. Soon, the black clouds of demonic energy began to dissipate, revealing an elderly figure, charred and tattered, with hair resembling a dandelion. Enough. I shall have your life. Yi Futian, having lived for over 5 centuries, had never endured such humiliation. He resolved to abandon his concealment, leaping onto the roof of the small dwelling, his dark hands extending forward with a decisive push. A pervasive aura of demonic energy surged around, forming a colossal visage with a green face and tusks behind him. This visage opened its gaping maw, mirroring Yi Futian's movements as it pressed forward. Boom. The entire Thunderfire annihilation array was fully manifested under the terrifying pressure, the runes sustaining the formation shattering inch by inch, unable to hold. To Chen Huai'an's perspective, Yi Futian still had 1/3 of his health left. He couldn't help but chuckle in appreciation. This boss was indeed impressive, with such flamboyant skills. As long as the package was purchased, victory was assured. Thus he remained completely unperturbed, even finding time to admire the boss's appearance. The visage solidified, coordinating its attacks. This was a demonic cultivator at the transformation stage, and certainly not an ordinary one. In a small room, Li Qingran clutched the hem of her garment, her face etched with anxiety. Unable to refrain from warning, "Senior, be cautious of the cunning nature of demonic cultivators. Be wary of any hidden trump cards they may possess." At that moment, her senior had already engaged in battle. If she were to intervene, it would only complicate matters. She could only silently pray that her senior would emerge unscathed from the confrontation with the demonic cultivator. Simultaneously, a profound sense of helplessness and guilt welled within her. If it weren't for her senior repairing her dantian, how could she attract such a formidable master of the demonic sect? If only she had been a bit stronger. She wouldn't have to cower in the corner like a mouse, watching helplessly as her senior took risks while she could do nothing. The death of her parents had sown the seeds of vengeance deep within Li Qingran's heart. The humiliation from her peers and witnessing the fickleness of human nature had forged a resilient spirit within her. At this moment, a flicker of determination to grow stronger also took root in her heart. The heavens were indifferent. To protect all that one cherished, one must possess strength at all times. Bang! The Thunderfire Annihilation array shattered with a deafening crash. Yi Futian hovered above the small room, the visage behind him crushing all the talismans that flew towards him. The explosive thunderfire felt like mere tickles to the visage. Ha! What else can you do? The four great corpse kings of the celestial demon art. I have diligently cultivated for 500 years to condense this Ingo visage, indestructible and immensely powerful. With sheer force, I can obliterate myriad techniques. What can your formation achieve? No matter how intricate it is. Is that so? A cold snort echoed from within the room, as Chen Huai'an cast the last talisman. The dim night sky unexpectedly shimmered with a rusty hue. Dark clouds rolled and surged like waves. Purple lightning tore through the heavens like a blade, as if a torrential downpour was imminent. Above Yi Futian, a tumultuous wind gathered, thick storm clouds accumulating. The nine-yang purple lightning talisman floated amidst the clouds, appearing ethereal. While deep within the layers of clouds, a profound force coalesced. Its might was like an abyss, its momentum akin to a flood. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth grew frenzied. Yi Futian looked skyward, a chill creeping down his spine, an ominous premonition stirring within him. At the Cangyun Sect, the gathered cultivators were shaken by the celestial phenomenon. Within the myriad mountains, the red-haired zombie, which had previously held Li Qingran and others at bay, suddenly trembled violently, howling as it turned to flee, desperate to escape the area cloaked in storm clouds. The Thunderfire Talisman, even if of celestial quality, merely infused spiritual energy to generate thunderfire. But the nine-yang purple lightning talisman harnessed the might of heaven and earth, channeling a strand of divine thunder to eradicate evil and sweep away malevolence. Condense. Chen Huai'an, in accordance with the demands of the game, traced the strokes of the talisman with his fingers. The celestial wrath loomed ominously. Lingering here would spell certain doom. If only he could escape this place, he could one day attain an extraordinary spiritual core. He merely needed to continue his concealment. Yi Futian, not sparing a glance at Li Qingran in the small cottage, prepared to flee. In the next instant, a thunderous roar resounded. A lightning dragon descended from the heavens, illuminating the world in a blinding flash. The bolt split into two, one pursuing Yi Futian, while the other struck towards the eastern slopes of Vanquishing. In that fleeting moment, amidst the tremors of the earth, Chen Huai'an observed the health bar of the boss, Yi Futian, deplete instantaneously within his phone. He blew on his fingers and chuckled softly. TSK, TSK, this won't do. It seemed so formidable, and yet, 188 coins were wiped out in an instant. What more is there to discuss? Within the Cangyun Sect Master Wu Duantian gazed upon the unusual celestial phenomenon, acutely sensing the violent fluctuations of spiritual energy. There was a battle among cultivators within Vanquishing, one of whom had even summoned heavenly lightning. Such a feat bore a striking resemblance to the mysterious cultivator who had previously refined a divine elixir. Zhao Lingtian, contemplating this, he felt a flicker of hope arise within him. Turning to his pale, incapacitated direct disciple lying on the bed, he spoke gravely. This may be our last opportunity. We shall go together this time. If we can secure the assistance of that esteemed elder, your spiritual core may yet be salvaged. Chapter 27. A request for opportunity. When Wu Duantian and his disciple arrived at the scene, the battle had long since concluded. The celestial anomalies had vanished, and the subtle fluctuations of spiritual energy had dissipated. The esteemed elder was nowhere to be found. Yet remnants of demonic energy lingered. Could it be that the elder had been engaged in combat with a demonic cultivator? As he surveyed the surroundings, he soon discovered a massive lightning pit. several dozen meters wide. Upon closer inspection, the pit was a staggering 3 zhang deep, filled with seething magma formed from melted rock, with arcs of electricity flickering within. At this moment, thin traces of demonic energy still pervaded the pit. However, the source of this energy had vanished without a trace, leaving one to wonder whether they had met a gruesome fate or had simply escaped. The ability to wield such terrifying lightning. Indeed, the strength of this esteemed elder was unfathomable. On the surface, Wu Duantian maintained the composure befitting a deity transformation stage cultivator, yet internally, he was profoundly shaken. Aside from the enhanced materialization of their Dharma form, deity transformation stage cultivators could initially harness the powers of heaven and earth. However, to channel the heavenly Tao's strength as this esteemed elder had done was beyond his capabilities. What, then, was the true prowess of this elder? Nevertheless, since they had been engaged in battle with a demonic cultivator, it was certainly indicative of a righteous practitioner. This was a comforting thought. Master, look. It seems there is a woman in that small cottage. Zhao Lingtian pointed towards the cottage by the stream at the foot of the mountain. Wu Duantian glanced over. His keen vision as a deity transformation stage cultivator allowed him to see Li Qingran within the cottage from a considerable distance. He exclaimed softly, "Isn't that the female disciple from Qishao Peak who deliberately harmed the junior sister? What was her name? Li Qingran. What is she doing here?" Indeed, it is Li Qingran. At this moment, Zhao Lingtian also discerned the situation, revealing a disdainful smirk. The Sect competition should come to a close. Yet she insists on settling personal scores. It is only fitting that she is expelled from Qishao Peak and the Sect. I have heard that Zhang Hanxiao has sent her back to the mundane world. I suspect she has returned, thinking it will grant her re-entry into our Cangyun sect. There is no need to squander time on such inconsequential individuals. Wu Duantian withdrew his gaze. A female disciple whose cultivation has been rendered null was hardly worthy of his or Zhao Lingtian's attention. However, Li Qingran was fortunate, for the residual energies of the battle between the two great cultivators did not claim her life. One must understand that the Thunder Pit is merely 300 to 400 meters from the cottage, had it been a mere 100 meters closer. The aftermath of the lightning would have sufficed to inflict grave harm upon Li Qingran. As for any connection between that mysterious senior and Li Qingran, Wu Duantian had never contemplated such a notion. It simply did not cross his mind. Li Qingran's newly formed dantian had already withdrawn inward, and all fluctuations of her aura had completely vanished. Given the vast disparity in their statuses, he did not believe that the esteemed elder capable of refining divine elixirs would concern himself with such insignificant insects. Zhao Lingtian, that esteemed senior may still be in the vicinity. Wu Duantian advised his disciple. After the great battle, that elder will surely seek a secluded place nearby to recuperate. You should earnestly beseech him. Perhaps he may assist you in restoring your dantian. Yes, Sect Master, Zhao Lingtian responded confidently. His noble lineage as a prince of a great nation, coupled with his exceptional talent for cultivation and the rare Yaohua spiritual root, set him apart. Prior to the shattering of his dantian, it had been rated at the 4th tier. Additionally, his handsome appearance and charm would evoke admiration from all who beheld him. Cultivation emphasizes fate and cause and effect, particularly for those reclusive masters who have remained at a bottleneck for an extended duration. Upon emerging from seclusion, they wander in search of opportunities while also welcoming the chance to forge benevolent connections and accrue merit, which in turn facilitates their breakthroughs and potentially enhances their success rate during tribulations. Esteemed elder, Zhao Lingtian took a few steps forward, bowing respectfully towards the thunder pit, tears welling in his eyes as he earnestly implored, "I am Zhao Lingtian, the esteemed disciple of Cangyun sect. I have long admired you since witnessing your mastery in refining divine elixirs and your prowess in repelling demonic cultivators. My dantian was shattered by the minions of the demonic sect, and I harbor an intense hatred for them. I dare to request a remedy to restore my dantian. Might you kindly guide me? If my dantian can be restored, I shall be eternally grateful for your kindness, and I am willing to serve you faithfully." Upon hearing these words, Wu Duantian felt a twinge of jealousy. He had not heard Zhao Lingtian express such sentiments when he first took him as a disciple. Yet, for the sake of restoring his beloved disciple's dantian, he could only endure for the moment. In the vast expanse of the mountains, no response echoed back. Wu Duantian and Zhao Lingtian remained patient, silently awaiting an answer. Why have Sect Master Wu and Zhao Lingtian come? It seems they are seeking the esteemed elder. Li Qingran stood by the window, glancing out before retreating back to her bedside. From Zhao Lingtian's words, it seemed he was seeking fortune from the elder. However, would the elder truly bestow upon him such fortune? On this point, Li Qingran felt an overwhelming uncertainty. It may seem somewhat impolite to say, but in her mind, the senior is not only extraordinarily formidable, but also resembles a benevolent figure who unconditionally bestows opportunities upon others. One cannot deny that Zhao Lingtian excels in every regard. In terms of both talent and background, she is utterly incomparable to him. Clearly, investing in Zhao Lingtian would yield a far greater return than investing in her. Li Qingran returned to her bed, hugging her knees, her crimson lips puffed as if to hang a vinegar bottle. She did not wish for the senior to grant Zhao Lingtian any opportunities. It was not out of selfishness or a desire for exclusive possession. Rather, she recognized that Zhao Lingtian was not a person of benevolent disposition. Although he possesses great talent, he is arrogant and narrow-minded. If the senior were to provide opportunities to such an individual, it could lead to complications in the future, potentially entangling the senior in troublesome consequences. However, the decision ultimately lies with the senior, and she could only watch in silence. Someone is requesting an opportunity from you. Chen Huai'an was busy reaping the rewards of defeating a boss when he noticed a prompt appear on the screen. What is this? He paused momentarily, and with the game's notification, he spotted Wu Duantian and Zhao Lingtian near a small house. Qingyun Sect's Sect Master, Wu Duantian Qingyun Sect's direct disciple, Zhao Lingtian, both NPCs displayed their respective identities above their heads. Oh, how intriguing. The Qingyun Sect was the very sect that Li Qingran had previously belonged to, a Sect Master and a direct disciple. And they have come to ask me for an opportunity? Chen Huai'an found it utterly absurd, and he felt a surge of anger. Who does he think he is? Li Qingran is his electronic girlfriend. In other words, he is Li Qingran's cyber boyfriend. Nothing wrong with that, right? These individuals dare to insult Chen Xianzuan's girlfriend and then approach him for opportunities? The game interface conveniently opened a dialog box for a sound transmission. First time triggering the opportunity-giving plot. This time, using the sound transmission talisman is free. You may bestow opportunities upon other cultivators, which might have unpredictable effects on your electronic girlfriend, Li Qingran. Items to be bestowed can be selected from your inventory. Upon reading this prompt, Chen Huai'an composed himself. What do they want? The cultivator Zhao Lingtian requests a primordial restoration pill from you. Will you bestow it? What is this? A primordial restoration pill? Is this beyond asking for an opportunity? This is essentially asking for my life. Chen Huai'an opened his game inventory and pulled out a Thunderfire talisman, aiming it at Wu Duantian and Zhao Lingtian. Can I strike these two dogs down? Wu Duantian is a late-stage transformation god cultivator. Do you wish to engage in battle with him? It seems the system has not provided an option to simply obliterate these two NPCs with money. Well, never mind. Chen Huai'an took a deep breath to regain his composure. He was acutely aware that the items he possessed were likely insufficient to defeat a transformation god cultivator. If he were unable to defeat them, it would be quite embarrassing. His own status would diminish, but more importantly, he feared it would affect Li Qingran. In that case, it would be wise to maintain the air of a mysterious expert. Chen Huai'an narrowed his eyes, pressed the sound transmission talisman, and inhaled deeply. In the Cangyun Realm, a tempest surged around Wu Duantian and Zhao Lingtian, causing the grass and trees to bow low. Both men's eyes brightened as they distinctly sensed the fluctuations of spiritual consciousness amidst the gale. Excellent, excellent. The senior has finally chosen to respond. Wu Duantian thought to himself. My Dantian has finally been saved. Zhao Lingtian could hardly contain his excitement, clenching his fists. They pricked up their ears, straining to catch every word, fearful of missing even a syllable. Yet, amidst the howling winds, only one word echoed, a thunderous roar. Get lost. Inside the small room, Li Qingran, seated at the head of the bed, first widened his eyes in disbelief. Then, unable to restrain himself any longer, he broke into a smile, lightly covering the corners of his mouth. Puffed. Chapter 28. Another little gift? Upon hearing the furious shout in the wind, Wu Duantian and Zhao Lingtian's expressions darkened instantly. Senior, might we have offended you in some way? We are strangers to you, and there is no need to humiliate us in such a manner. Zhao Lingtian protested indignantly. A prodigious talent such as himself was always revered. How could he face such disdain? His Dantian had been wounded by a demonic cultivator, and as a distinguished cultivator at the late stage of transformation, his master, Wu Duantian, had been fretting over him day and night, solely because his remarkable talents could potentially elevate the future of the Cangyun sect significantly. When had he ever been subjected to such scorn? Even a mere get lost left him feeling utterly humiliated. However, the mountains of Wanshan offered no further response. Frustrated and embarrassed, Zhao Lingtian found himself torn between fleeing and seizing the opportunity to restore his Dantian, standing foolishly in place, seeking help from Wu Duantian. Oh, let us go? What is meant to be yours will be yours. What is not meant for you indicates your lack of affinity with that senior. Wu Duantian sighed, shaking his head, feeling equally helpless in this situation. If the other party had merely been a cultivator of comparable strength, he could have sought justice for his disciple. But as it stood, Even if that mysterious cultivator had activated their spiritual consciousness to send a message, he could not trace their location. This indicated that the other party could easily elude them. From the very beginning, they were at a disadvantage, and the opponent's strength was undoubtedly superior. Persisting in this pursuit would only lead to further humiliation. Master, Zhao Lingtian felt discontent. Wu Duantian, however, patted his disciple's shoulder, refraining from summoning his flying sword, and pretended to be carefree as he said, "Let us go." He felt even more distressed than Zhao Lingtian. As a master, he was expected to protect his disciple and stand up for him, yet at this moment, he could only swallow his pride and retreat in defeat. Meanwhile, on the other side, Li Qingran and a group of disciples from the law enforcement hall sat under a pine tree, still shaken. They had arrived with 50 members, but now only 36 remained. 14 disciples had perished in the battle against the red-haired zombie. Fortunately, a powerful being had cast spells in Wanshan. When that bolt of lightning struck, it also captured the red-haired zombie, sparing them from further losses. They could only wonder which great figure had intervened, summoning heavenly thunder to vanquish evil. Such prowess was beyond their reach, and one disciple sighed in admiration, though Li Qingran remained silent. He too longed to encounter that mysterious figure and hoped for guidance along his cultivation path. Brother Liu, given the current predicament, should we continue with our mission? Indeed. Brother Liu, one cannot ascertain whether the demon cultivator has met his demise. Alas, although the disciples have not explicitly voiced their sentiments, their averted gazes and hesitant words betray their inclination to retreat. Observing this, Li Qingran felt a sense of disdain welling up within him. He remarked with an air of indifference, "The task entrusted by the sect leader must be accomplished. Given your current state, why not return and report on the casualties? I shall take care of the remainder." "Oh dear, Brother Liu, that seems rather unwise, does it not? The dangers of Wanqingshan are formidable. Can you truly manage it alone?" Listening to their insincere pleasantries, Li Qingran merely curled his lip in disdain. "It is settled then, my mind is made up. I am the team leader, and you shall follow my orders." With the conversation reaching this impasse, the disciples of the law enforcement hall ceased their protests, expressing their gratitude profusely as they departed, leaving Li Qingran standing alone beneath the pine tree. "Huh, cowardly wretches. With such timidity, you shall forever miss the opportunities that lie ahead." Continuing the mission is not merely a matter of pride or obedience to the sect leader. It is also about seizing chances. The disparity between an individual's fortune and that of a collective is substantial. Within the small cabin, tranquility reigned. The younger generation, Ching Ran, felt her dantian gradually recovering, all thanks to the kindness of her predecessors, for which she was eternally grateful. The girl inclined her head towards the ceiling in a gesture of reverence, having expressed her thanks numerous times, yet struggling to articulate the joy and gratitude swelling within her heart. Words felt insufficient and repetitive, so she chose to conceal her excess sentiments within. "Why thank me? You are my electronic girlfriend." Chen Huai'an beamed as he observed the affection level rising to 60. "As your cyber boyfriend, isn't it my duty to assist you?" Ching Ran, "Focus on your cultivation from now on, and trample upon those who scorn you. My life may be as it is, but you are different. Although you are merely data, data possesses the potential for growth. Before the game officially launches, I will undoubtedly cultivate you into the strongest female cultivator. Thus, even if I am claimed by the King of Hell, I shall smile as I reincarnate as the world's wealthiest individual." Li Qingran heard the words, "Cultivate diligently. Remain humble and composed. Indeed, I shall not disappoint your expectations." Li Qingran performed a deep bow, her expression serious. Yet, within her heart, she could not help but think. The elder remained so aloof, yet unexpectedly reliable and reassuring. With a mischievous smile, she quickly resumed a serious demeanor and retrieved a string of prayer beads from her storage ring. These beads, crafted from low-grade spirit stones, were uniformly shaped and exquisitely polished. "Esteemed elder, this is a fortune-turning bead handmade by me. Although the materials are modest, I hope you will not disdain it. Once I acquire better materials, I promise to craft you a new one." The low-grade spirit stones were the only resources Li Qingran felt she could freely utilize. The high-grade spirit crystals were reserved for the senior's daily use in the advanced spirit gathering array, and while she longed to use one for the fortune-turning bead, she feared inciting the elder's displeasure. However, the low-grade spirit stones bestowed upon her daily seemed to be at her discretion. Since they were at her disposal, she decided to indulge herself a little. "Your electronic girlfriend Li Qingran has prepared a small gift for you, which has been sent. Please check it." "Wow, another small gift? Ching Ran, you are truly wonderful." He, Chen Huai'an, sitting in front of his phone, displayed a smile akin to an indulgent aunt, feeling that all the money he had spent was undoubtedly worth it. Even if he recognized this as a tactic employed by the official channels, what of it? The emotional value is priceless. He accepted it. Meanwhile, in the Cangyun Realm, Li Qingran mused. Not bad, quite thoughtful. I wonder when the small gift will arrive. At a certain 7-day fast hotel, Chen Huai'an clutched his phone, reluctant to let it go. Speaking of which, the quality of that last amulet was rather mediocre. After just one mountain climb, his name had washed away with sweat. Thinking of this made Chen Huai'an feel exasperated. After all, he had contributed so much money, and the amulet had faded? Such a lack of sincerity. He hoped that this time the official gift would be of a slightly higher caliber. TSK, I wonder what this human boy is grinning at that black box. A pair of round cat eyes peeked out from the gap of a shoebox. The cat, stealthily observing, thought, currently, my body is too frail. I would likely not stand a chance in a direct confrontation. Moreover, this human seems to possess some special ability that immobilizes me upon grasping my neck. For safety's sake, I shall wait until this human falls asleep before making my move. In the dead of night, Li Qingran continued her training. Before bed, Chen Huai'an foolishly checked his balance, his face instantly paling. Where had his money gone? In merely 2 days, he had nearly exhausted all the earnings he had just acquired. It seemed he needed to initiate the second challenge livestream promptly, but his foot was still not healed. In order to ensure an engaging livestream, the difficulty could not be lower than that of Mount Tai. Otherwise, who would watch? Alternatively, he could devise new tricks. Yet either option was unkind to his current disabled state. Chen Huai'an wore a frown, not fully succumbing to sleep until 4 in the morning. Moonlight streamed through the window, caressing the windowsill and sofa, silently spilling onto the shoebox. Suddenly, the motionless shoebox sprang open. For nimble black cat paws landed soundlessly on the table. In the darkness, a pair of cat eyes glimmered with a red light, fixating intently on the sleeping man in bed. It crept closer, stepping into the moonlight. The shadow cast upon the wall was not that of a cat, but rather a terrifying, enormous beast. Outside, the wind ceased, the grass stood still, and the chirping of insects abruptly vanished. Time seemed to thicken in that moment. Chapter 29, A Fine Sword, A Fine Sword. Any creature is at its most vulnerable while asleep. So vulnerable that it can be easily slain by an existence countless times weaker. Just like at this moment. The black cat crouched down, its gaze locked onto the exposed neck of Chen Huai'an. It had only recently awakened. Facing a fully grown man directly would be a challenge. But once it continued to recover and hunted more prey to regain its vitality, even those 4-wheeled iron boxes would no longer pose a threat. The thought of those 4-wheeled iron boxes stirred a flicker of hatred in the cat's eyes. Those cunning humans actually conceal themselves within swiftly moving steel boxes on 4 wheels. The first encounter left me nearly colliding with one, almost resulting in my demise. Thus, my quest for vengeance shall commence with devouring this human. The black cat lunged at Chen Huai'an, its speed so rapid that it appeared as a mere blur. With its claws raised, it etched a bloody trail in the air. The strike was aimed directly at the neck. However, just as it was about to succeed, a thunderous roar of a dragon echoed in the black cat's mind, rendering it momentarily dazed, its agile limbs stiffening, crashing to the ground as if a lifeless mass. Ancestral. Dragon? This aura. How is it possible? Trembling, the black cat managed to clamber back onto the bed, shaking its dizzy head to gaze once more at the man deep in slumber. Disbelief filling its feline eyes. The commotion had caused Chen Huai'an to mumble and turn, the blanket slipping down to reveal part of his back. There. The black dragon tattoo writhed and danced, its eyes glimmering with a piercing golden light, exuding an air of authority, seemingly aware of the black cat's scrutiny. Another roar reverberated in its mind. The black cat's head spun as it witnessed the dragon-shaped tattoo springing forth from the man's back. Oh no, is this truly necessary? Terrified, the black cat turned to flee. However, the dragon's tail, adorned with golden-edged black scales, swept towards it, drawing it back into the confines of the shoebox. The lid snapped shut with a resounding clap. Alas, how infuriating. This human possesses the protection of an ancestral dragon. The black cat, curled up within the shoebox, trembled in pain, feeling as though its insides were ablaze, blood spilling from its mouth. Having just awakened, its body was frail. In this desolate era of spiritual energy, healing was arduous enough, compounded by being hurled by a steel box and subsequently snatched away by a wretched bird. Now, having been struck by the dragon's tail, its injuries were far more severe than before. No, I must depart from this place. It is unwise to linger. The black cat struggled to rise, feeling lightheaded. But after only a few steps within the shoebox, it succumbed to unconsciousness. The moonlight remained tranquil, and the dragon-shaped tattoo circled the bed before returning to its rightful place on the man's back. In his dreams, Chen Huai'an wore a silly grin, scratching his rear and turning over once more. At 7 in the morning, the alarm rang, and Chen Huai'an, his head buried in the pillow, deftly seized his phone with one hand, unlocking it with a swipe, revealing a face marked by dark circles. Electronic girlfriend, activate. In the small room, the girl sat cross-legged on the bed, diligently absorbing the spiritual energy from the gathering formation. Status, cultivating. Cultivation progress, 76-31. Remaining lifespan, 273 years. Affection level, 60. Impressive. Chen Huai'an felt instantly alert upon noticing Li Qingran's cultivation progress. With limited funds, he had only set up a mid-level gathering formation. Yet even so, Li Qingran had made remarkable leaps in power overnight. Is this the terrifying potential of a superior Dantian? Chen Huai'an felt an immense sense of gratification. Although the game was notoriously exploitative, the rewards were immediate upon investment. He nudged Li Qingran's shoulder, and the battle order system along with some historical information promptly appeared. As Li Qingran's realm advanced, rewards from the battle order system continued to accumulate. For instance, after ascending from level 6 to level 8 the previous night, Li Qingran unlocked 3 rewards resembling golden pouches. Chen Huai'an clicked to claim them, and the 3 pouches materialized on Li Qingran's desk in an instant. Spirit Stone Lucky Blind Box. Chance to obtain 1 Spirit Crystal, 99 Superior Spirit Stones, 999 Medium Spirit Stones. With a guaranteed minimum of 1,000 Inferior Spirit Stones, exclusively for Li Qingran's use, mediocre. Chen Huai'an was unimpressed by such trivial rewards. His gaze was drawn to the grand prize for achieving the pinnacle of Qi refinement. The interface shimmered with dazzling purple light, unmistakably a coveted item. Tide-born technique. Xiantir inferior mental method. The sea sun rises amidst the remnants of night. Spring flows into the past year. The tide-born technique originates from the vastness of the ocean, embracing the spirit of the celestial tides, and comprehending the mysteries of yin and yang's alternation. Practicing this method feels as if one stands by the boundless sea, witnessing the cycles of the sun and moon, and sensing the breath of the tides. Upon reaching the superior level, one can draw spirit energy within the body to form a tide, harmonizing with the celestial spirit energy. Utilizing nature's essence to replenish one's reserves, ensuring endurance in battle. This technique is a lower tier of the oceanic technique, and upon achieving the pinnacle, one may directly transition to the oceanic technique. Truly, the product of the battle order is formidable. Chen Huai'an nodded thoughtfully. Although he had never inquired about the internal cultivation methods Li Qingran practiced, it was reasonable to assume they were not as superior as those obtained through the battle order. After all, given the game's tendencies, any items not purchased with real money were typically lackluster base tools. He opened Li Qingran's character panel and glanced at the mental methods section, only to feel a twinge of embarrassment. The current internal cultivation method, the Crimson Cloud technique, was also of Xiantir inferior grade. Despite both techniques sharing the same classification, the Tideborn technique offered a higher tier alternative. However, to switch internal cultivation methods would require a dispersal of his current progress, effectively rendering Li Qingran's hard-earned achievements futile. If the Crimson Cloud technique also had a superior version, it would be unwise for Li Qingran to abandon his progress for a mere upgrade. Nevertheless, it was still a technique worth examining. Chen Huai'an noted that the Tideborn technique was not marked as exclusive to Li Qingran, and a peculiar thought crossed his mind. Could it be that the Tideborn technique was available for his use as well? The image of the Qinglian sword classic flashed in his mind. Perhaps he must first master the Tideborn technique before imparting it to Li Qingran? Given the game designer's penchant for mischief, this scenario seemed entirely plausible. It all felt so serious, as if one could achieve immortality merely through cultivation. With a resigned shake of his head, he considered these quirks merely as the game creator's attempts to enhance player immersion. Your electronic girlfriend has sent you a small gift. The loot you selected has been delivered. 2 notifications appeared in quick succession. The small gift was a bracelet crafted by Li Qingran. As for the spoils, they were the items dropped after vanquishing the Nightshade, which included a tome titled Heavenly Demon Technique, Fragment 1, a low-grade magical sword, a damaged mid-grade spiritual artifact, and a number of spiritual stones. At that moment, the game window prompted him to select one item as authentic loot. The term authentic seemed rather ironic. Having played this game for numerous days, he could instinctively discern that these were merely trinkets bestowed upon him by the game's creator. Suddenly, there was a series of knocks at the outer door. Chen Huai'an was momentarily taken aback, but then, using his cane, he propelled himself towards the entrance. Today, he was determined to uncover the identity of the courier who had delivered a package that morning. However, upon opening the door, he was met with nothing but emptiness. Could it be that the individual was a parkour expert? Chen Huai'an glanced towards the shadowy staircase on his right, hearing no sounds of footsteps descending. They must have escaped through the nearby window. If that were the case, he would have no chance to confirm their identity. TSK, how shy? Let them run if they wish. As he withdrew from the window, he noticed two boxes lying at his feet. One was quite small, just large enough to hold a bracelet, with the inscription, "A gift from Ching Ran." The other was elongated, measuring approximately 1.5 meters, adorned with the words "Spoils of War." Just as he had anticipated, he reached down to pick up the box, but it proved too heavy for one hand, crashing back to the floor with a thud that left a dent in the hotel's flooring. Goodness! Chen Huai'an glanced around nervously, hastily dragging a corner of the carpet to cover the indentation. Finally, he lifted the long box with both hands, inwardly marveling. A fine sword, indeed. He, Chen Huai'an, now possessed his own sword. It was a pity that his streaming account had but a handful of followers. Otherwise, he would have certainly conducted an unboxing livestream. Elated, he carried the two boxes into his room, closing the door and windows, drawing the curtains, and turning on the bedside lamp before settling onto the bed, rubbing his hands together in excitement. First, let us explore the delightful gift from our dear Ching Ran. He used a nail clipper to cut through the tape, opening the box only to find his expression darken. Inside was merely a sealed bag containing a string of beads, the material unknown, resembling glass orbs. This feels rather lackluster. As he took the beads into his hands, they felt cool and gentle, and perhaps it was just a sensation. But the air around him seemed to freshen, banishing the morning lethargy. Although the material was ordinary and the craftsmanship appalling, the clumsy inscription still tugged at his heartstrings. Gazing at the misspelled words of blessing on the beads, he decided to wear them. A smile brightening his face. Just the thought of it being a gift from Li Qingran invigorated him. Indeed, he recognized this refreshing feeling as the power of love. Not far away, in a shoebox on the table, a black cat, initially lying still, twitched its nose, and a sliver of its tightly shut eyes opened. Now, it was time for the grand reveal. Chen Huai'an's unwrapping of the package was somewhat forceful. In a mere moment, he revealed the formidable object within. It was an ancient-style longsword, seemingly aged, yet deliberately weathered. Measuring 1.5 meters in length, its bronze hue was adorned with black scales, while the hilt bore intricate, albeit indecipherable, traditional characters, which Chen surmised might be the name of the swordsmith. The sword was aptly named Black Scales. Lifting the Black Scales sword towards the overhead light, the illumination glinted off the blade, casting a cold gleam that felt out of place in this era. Perhaps it was just an illusion, but he sensed that this sword did not belong to this world. Rather, it seemed to originate from the realm of Li Qingran. It was not merely a decorative artifact, but a genuine flying sword from the Cangyun Realm. Surely, his lack of sleep the previous night had caused his imagination to run wild. Nevertheless, he held a profound admiration for the craftsmanship of the game developers. For instance, the last amulet, though faded, genuinely resembled something crafted by Li Qingran. This time, although the bead was likely made of glass, it emanated a subtle fragrance akin to that of the previous amulet, such attention to detail. As for the sword, it was undeniably authentic. It would serve as a striking ornament in his home. He pondered whether the blade was sharpened. Rubbing his head, he prepared to test it with his hand, but instinctively withdrew, sensing that such an act might be unwise. Instead, he picked up a curled strand of black fur from the ground and gently tossed it onto the blade. A faint ding echoed as he watched the fur sever into two pieces, falling from either side of the sword. Astonished, he exclaimed, "Goodness! So sharp! This must be considered a controlled weapon. How was it transported? Would I be arrested if discovered?" Hastily, he sheathed the sword. Noticing a nail on the wall beside his bed, he hung the Black Scales sword there, and surprisingly, its ancient charm did not clash with the modern decor at all. He resolved that the Black Scales sword would accompany him in the afterlife. Meanwhile, in the shoebox, a black cat stared out with wide, round eyes, awakened by the aura emanating from the spirit stone. This energy was a precious resource for it, as even breathing the air infused with spiritual energy could hasten its healing. With the emergence of golden needle techniques and ancestral dragon protection, the presence of spirit stones and magical artifacts was quite astonishing. The black cat felt a tumult of emotions. Perplexed by Chen Huai'an's situation and the peculiarities of this era, logically, such spirit-related items should have vanished from this world. What it had witnessed since awakening confirmed this notion. Yet, this young man seemed to possess everything. This was no mere coincidence. Regardless, the foremost priority is to swiftly restore this young one's injuries with the aid of that creature. Although the protection of the ancestral dragon poses challenges, as long as it does not inflict harm, the young one's intentions remain unscathed. Just as it contemplated letting out a feeble meow to summon Chen Huai'an, it discovered that the room had become vacant in the blink of an eye. Where has that lad gone? The black cat, burdened by its heavy form, made its way to the windowsill. It spotted its target clad in pajamas, brandishing a clothes pole as he dashed towards the square across from the hotel. Old Li had been practicing Tai Chi in the small square for 2 decades, in the realm of senior Tai Chi, among the elderly from the surrounding neighborhoods. He claimed the second position, with no one daring to contest his first. As he walked, engrossed in a game, he cautioned, "Watch out for cars." Upon noticing two children crossing the street while engrossed in their game, one of the youngsters turned to him and flashed a middle finger, retorting, "Mind your own business." Old man, sighing, Li shook his head as he watched the two students depart. The youth of today seemed increasingly devoid of vigor, their days consumed by gaming. Unlike in his era, while technology has ushered in societal advancement, it has also led many to forsake innocence and nostalgia. Sighing once more, he approached the tree where he practiced daily, only to find a figure already there, a young man in pajamas, sweating profusely as he awkwardly maintained a peculiar pose with his clothes pulled. Despite the young man's unrefined movements, Li felt a glimmer of hope emerge from the darkness. This vibrant youth embodied the very essence that the current era lacked, the kind he admired most. Observing the lad's actions, he noted a hint of potential, yet a clear absence of foundational understanding. Since he had encountered him today, he resolved to impart some guidance. "Young man, that is incorrect. Your stance lacks stability. This is not how one establishes a solid base." At that moment, Chen Huai'an was diligently practicing the Ching Ran sword technique when a venerable voice suddenly resonated from behind him. A pair of broad hands pressed down on his shoulders, forcefully adjusting his posture. A foot wedged itself between his legs, pushing outward. Chen Huai'an gasped in pain as the ache surged through his plastered right leg, yet he felt no anger, for with the elder's assistance in correcting his form, he was astonished to find that the progress of his practice in the first chapter of the Ching Ran sword technique had surged from 2 to an impressive 13.